If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And we're rolling.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pat O.
Pat O. How was your weekend?
It was shitty, and I'm going to bring back
Right.
a long standing tradition of me in the podcast community that I haven't done so much here on Wednesdays We Talk Weird. But in honor of the 100th show, I'm going to reach back into my back pocket and pull out a Pat O Consumer Reports. This is where I rail mercilessly on a fucking store or organization, and hopefully
good. We love that here.
get you guys to shut them the fuck down. So as some of you know from social media, my father-in-law passed last weekend. It was very sudden, very tragic. And my wife went out. My wife is originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana. She had gone out there during the week just to kind of set things up and spend time with her family, and I stayed home with the dogs. And then she came back Thursday, and the plan was to kettle the dogs at PetSmart. Now, you guys all know what PetSmart is, right? You guys have PetSmarts all over the place, of course.
We have it, but I'm Midwest. I don't know.
I assume most of you guys do. It's a
Pet
large
store.
scale. It's like a Best Buy for dogs and shit, right?
Sure.
So we and I say that because the PetSmart in my area was built where a Best Buy used to be. But we had some of the PetSmarts have overnight kennel services, right? And I don't know if anyone listening here has animals and ever tried to kennel their dogs before. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's kind of expensive, and the money part of it aside, a lot of places want immunization records. They want stool samples. They'll set up temperament tests where you'll have to bring your dog in like the week before so they can play with them and make sure your dog isn't jag off. All these kind of hoops, so to speak, that you have to jump through before they agree to take your dog for the weekend, right? So the PetSmart that we talked to, they wanted all the medical records and stuff, and we had all of that. And they said, just kind of bring them in first thing Saturday morning, and we'll take them and we'll go from there, and everything should be set. And they were charging us a pretty penny. It was going to be like $700 for 2 dogs for the amount of time we were gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that's a fucking plane ticket, right? And you're spending it on fucking animals that are going to eat dog food in a little room and shit. But whatever, they're part of the family. We got to take care of them. What else are you going to do with them, right? They're dogs. So we get there, and the plan was to drop the dogs off 8 a.m. PetSmart, and then get on the road and go to Fort Wayne for the weekend. We had a bunch of stuff to do with the services and whatnot. We get there. One of my dogs is a tripod, and I think I've brought that up before.
Yeah.
He was a rescue dog. He got hit by a truck down in Kentucky, presumably driven by a Sasquatch, and he was transferred up here north, and we adopted him, right? And I love my dog. His name's Tucker. He's my favorite dog in the world. He's very chill. He can always tell when I'm stoned because he'll come over and snuggle with me. He's a great protector, but he doesn't attack anyone. He's never bitten anyone. He's killed a couple rabbits and shit, but like whatever, but he's not, he's not like
Even with 3 legs. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's fast as fuck, seriously. And my other dog Lexi and Tucker's like a lab, right? And my other dog Lexi is a pit bull bulldog mix that my neighbors gave to me because they had a litter. And she's a fucking asshole, but even then she's sweet. She's not, once again, she doesn't attack people. She is kind of annoying. I don't like her, but it's like kids, I mean? You love them all, but not all equally,
Well, I only have one, so I don't have a choice.
But we get there, and the chick at PetSmart says, okay, like she's checking us in her paperwork, and she's acting like there's problems with it. Like, well, you don't have this. Oh, I see it. Blah, 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 blah. And we're all real nervous because we just want to get these dogs off and fucking go. And she says, okay, we have to take a temperament test now to make sure that they'll behave in captivity. Now, any other kennel that I've ever dealt with does this way prior to you dropping the dogs off. They want you to
Sure.
come in 2-3 days in advance. Reason being is, as you're about to see, if there's a problem, we want to identify this in advance and not waste everybody's fucking time.
Right.
So they get to Tucker, and the first thing this chick does is reach down and like tries to grab him by a stump and then pet him from the back to the front. And he like whips his head around and snarls at her. And she goes, "Whoa, no, we can't have that here." And I'm like, "Well, he's an amputee. You just grabbed him by a stump. Why don't you try to pet him on his head first like a fucking normal person?" You know what I mean? Like when you
Yeah.
pet dogs, you always pet them in the front, let them smell your hands, and then go back. And she's like, if we can't pet him from head to toe, he can't stay here. And I'm like, you'll be able to just chill out and try it again. So by this time, this other person comes in, this other fucking 19-year-old girl, and like is like, "Oh, is there a problem?" And she explains like, "I tried petting him." I'm like, she grabbed it by a stump. He's a 3-legged dog. They don't like that.
Right.
And the chick goes, "Oh, okay, well, I got some treats," and sits down. And mind you, like my dogs were like a little skittish at PetSmart. We bring them to PetSmart all the time to get their nails trimmed and stuff and like shampooed. And like dogs don't like PetSmart because it smells like other dogs. It smells like fucking rabbits and snakes and shit. Like they
Yeah.
pick up the vibe that there's all this other stuff going on, and I've seen animals clear out fucking shit in the checkout line. Like it's kind of a little bit like being in a zoo, and our dogs were like not, I mean, they weren't just like calmly sitting there like at attention. Like they were like sniffing around and stuff. So she goes through Lexi's fine. She goes through Tucker, and once again, like everything's pretty much fine. Like she touches all his legs, touches his toes. Okay, everything's fine. And then she's like, "You know what?" Like she's thinking about it. Like this whole entire fucking thing hinges on the next words to come out of her mouth. And she's just weighing it back and forth. And she goes, "You know what? I don't know. I don't think we're gonna take him." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Yeah, we'll take Lexi. We'll take the other dog. But Tucker, he's just a little aggressive about that hump, about the stump, And I'm like, "Well, he got hit by a fucking truck.
Right.
And they took his leg off, Well, we'll take the one, but not the other." And I'm like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "What the fuck is that's going to do me?" I'm like, "We're supposed to get in a car and go out of town in an hour for a fucking like funeral. Like, imagine if we had plane tickets or something and this was our stop on the way to the airport." Never once did they mention to us, "Hey, you're going to have to come in for a temperament test." Because we would have done that shit on Thursday. We would have done that shit. What, me, I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, why am I going to wait till the last minute to do that? Like,
Right.
and these are dogs that have been in the system, that have been in the store, that have gotten their nails done, that have gotten grooming done there. So they're not like they're any stranger. They've never seen these dogs before. I was so fucking infuriating. And if I didn't immediately click into like, okay, I need to find another solution to this problem right now, I would have sat there and berated those two fucking bitches to no end. Because it was like, you're making an arbitrary decision that is completely fucking someone else's life up based on what? And one of the things they said was, "Well, let's say there's emergency in the room that they're in, and they're bleeding all over the place, and we have to go in there." And I'm like, "What? Like, what is this strange hypothetical situation? Does this happen? Like,
Right.
this hypothetical situation you're describing, it sounds like shit's going to be flying off the fucking handle anyway. And I can't imagine a dog sitting there bleeding out from somewhere. And the fact that like you can't touch its toe without it reacting, I bet at that point, wherever you touch it, it's going to react to you because it's obviously bleeding all over the place. Like it's hurt, it's damaged. Who knows what the fuck happened to it? Like it was just like these two girls decided like, you know what? Let's just not board the first 12. I'm hungover. Let's just not take the first 6 animals to come in today. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I mean, I'll tell you, it's not, unfortunately, I mean, the two girls, it's not their policy. They do make the judgment call, but it isn't their policy. But, these are just people that are picked up. They got no formal dog training or anything like that. They just come in off the streets and they're, entry level workers. They don't,
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
they don't know what they're doing.
the first one that went right for a stump, I was like, "What, did you just fucking get fired from Red Lobster? Like, what do you like?" what are you
You know,
doing? Like,
I
why would?
mean, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But what's weird is like our dogs go, obviously not to that PetSmart, but our dogs go to they have like the doggy daycare that you can do or whatever,
Mhm.
and they'll go there. And now Pepper is aggressive. Pepper is an aggressive dog, and he goes.
Yeah, I mean, my dogs aren't like they're not like docile, but they're playful. I mean, they fuck, like they're like always like biting each other's necks and then banging each other and shit. Like yeah, they're aggressive. They're fucking dogs. They're animals. They're mini wolves. You know?
No, I mean like Pepper like will bite. Like people can't come over because Pepper will bite them. Like he's aggressive, and he's not allowed alone with my child because he's bitten her. With us around, he's bitten her. And
Wow.
so he is an aggressive dog. I mean, he does it because not because he's trying to be mean, but because he is insecure.
Right.
And he also does it like he'll bite you. He'll bite you right in the face. Because they're mini Australian shepherds, and like Pepper needs a job. And like the way that they herd their sheep is by biting them, and so he will bully you. He'll bite you and bully you into doing what he wants you to do. However,
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Granger. Granger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
like I said, they go just fine without any issues. And even they go to Banfield Vet, that's their vet, which is located right in PetSmart, and the vet knows that he's aggressive. And he's still allowed to go to the doggy daycare. So
Yeah, I mean, I want the thing is that I want to like I should have stood my ground and argued more because I bet that I could have gotten them to relent. But then it's like you get them to like hate you and your dogs before you even fucking
right.
leave. But
Well, right. That's like, that's like being mean to your babysitter. Like, yeah, I
right,
mean, nobody wants to do that shit. And then your kid
yeah.
doesn't get fed that day. No, thank you. So,
You
I
know,
get it.
but it was like and then at the end of the day, all really PetSmart has to say is, well, our trained staff did not feel comfortable with your dog's temperament. Like that's all they
Right.
have to say, and then it's like conversation over. But like you said, like there's dogs that are fucking assholes that are like
Right.
vicious, and then there's dogs that are like nervous because of the situation they're in, and
Right.
they're an
They don't
amputee, and you
know
grab their
that they're
fucking
at
stump.
PetSmart. I mean, they
Yeah,
don't know.
all they know is that it smells like turtles and fucking snakes and shit. You know, but
It's weird.
yeah, it was like we because we once again I went into like just survival mode, and it was like, okay, well, there's no reason to stand in here anymore. We now have an hour and 45 minutes to find a fucking replacement solution. The replacement solution does not exist here. We need to get the fuck out of here and get back home.
Yeah.
So we really I was like, let's just go, we need to get the fuck out of here, and we left. And I really wish that I had sat there and berated those people some more, which I did. Would that have solved anything? Yeah.
No.
Well, I would have felt better. I could talk some mad shit, but fuck
You
them.
shouldn't you shouldn't be mean to people that aren't getting paid enough for you to be mean to them, Pat.
I don't know what they're getting fucking paid, and all I got to think,
They're
whatever.
not getting paid shit, I can tell you that.
No.
But
Well, I would have tipped the shit
um
out of them because I always do when they cut my dog's nails and stuff. But whatever. So we ended up taking the dogs back home, and luckily, one of Connor's babysitters is a veterinarian's assistant, and she and her husband were more than happy
good.
to take him for the weekend, so it was fine. And let me just say
Well, that's
this.
better anyway. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Diana. She was very, very kind, very lovely. I only let the most beautiful woman in the world babysit my child because I feel like it gives him a good head on his shoulders when it comes to growing up and talking to girls. Like if like he was surrounded by ugly babysitters, like when he grew up and went to high school, he would just talk to ugly girls. But the one babysitter that he has that's super hot, like he takes her to Panera every time she babysits. Like he'll take like she drives obviously because she's
yeah,
older.
he takes her to Panera.
Yes, but he pays and like they order and they sit across from each other, and I'm like, this is good. This is now he's getting used to this. Now he
Wow.
thinks this is the way it should be, you know.
Well, what's your son doing this weekend, Pat? I need plans. Shit. I want to go to Panera.
Oh my god, that's a fucking Brazzers video waiting to happen right there.
I'm just kidding. But
I'll get you soup in a bread bowl. Don't worry.
oh, that's funny. Well, okay. I mean, that sounds like it sucked, but I'm glad that it worked out. I definitely think that PetSmart should probably look at their policy and how they train these people. But I don't know. Like, I think it could be the individual. That individual store itself. I don't
Oh
know.
no, it was that's what it frustrated me more than anything else is that I totally got the vibe that if we had any other two clerks working at that particular moment, that things could have gone differently. It totally felt like an arbitrary decision that a 19-year-old girl made at 8:00 in the morning on a fucking Saturday. Like it just, I got that vibe. Like, I've worked in retail before where it's like,
Right.
am I going to return this or not? And you look at the person and you think about like last night and you're like, no. And it's like that. That's totally my takeaway.
Do you think that you could potentially file a lawsuit against a discrimination lawsuit against a disabled dog?
That's a very good question. Maybe, or I could file a discrimination lawsuit against me as a customer for being so fucking hot or being a
Sure.
podcaster.
You should tell them. Yeah, they knew I was a podcaster.
No, or
Maybe
maybe they didn't. They did not recognize my cryptozoologist credentials.
They
Being
should
a
have.
PetSmart, they feel that that's affront to their business.
You should have told them. You should be like, "Don't you know I'm getting ready
I'm
to
a
record my
fucking
100th episode?"
cryptozoologist, bitch. Fucking throwed my shoe down and fucking pulled out my Bigfoot Society fucking membership card,
Yes,
which was
yes,
in my
yes,
wallet
yes.
at the time. God damn it! I'm like, do you know who the fuck I am?
See,
Do you know who
if
Greg
we would have
Morrill
just
is?
right,
Start
would have just.
dropping names.
Oh no, you can get Greg to curse them. He's good at that.
Oh my gosh! So I should fucking drop in names.
Yeah, you should have just flashed your Bigfoot Society membership card. They would have been like, "Oh, okay, I know who you are." Tell them.
Agent Byron with the CIA. I'm like, I'll have the fucking feds down on here in a second.
It would have worked, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
That should be. I know we like to do these passwords now at the end of the show, and I think we should totally
Yeah.
do that. But
Yeah.
a password for the beginning of the show, if you somehow made it the first 15 minutes in, should be I don't know, fuck PetSmart, or share with us your PetSmart horror stories. And not like I'm trying to shut PetSmart down. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Okay, here's the thing.
I
Here's
still
the
need
thing
to get
about
dog
the
food from somewhere.
here's the thing about the password. There is going to be a password, but it is going to be at the end of the episode because here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. It's this is a big episode, okay? We're kind of not really said it, but it's a big episode. It's episode 100. We are in the triple digits of episodes now. I don't know if that means that I have no life because I continue to do this every week and I'm now at episode 100, or if it's that you don't have a life because you continue to listen to it every week and it's now episode 100. But either way, there's a password and you have to listen until the end of the show to get it. And if you tell us what the password is, you will be entered into a giveaway. And next week on the show, we will announce who that is. You'll get to pick an item from the merch shop and we'll send it to you. So
Oh,
there's
nice.
that. So that'll be it. It's not fuck PetSmart. It's not that. So you'll have to. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. You'll have to listen to the end of the episode to know what it is. Maybe it is fuck PetSmart. I don't know.
No, fuck PetSmart's too rudimentary. Just share with us your PetSmart stories if you have any, because I feel like anyone that's an animal owner that spends enough time there has them. And when I feel like the problems that my PetSmart have are kind of universal, where you have people that are very passionate about animals that work there, and people that
I've heard
got
some
fired from
things.
Staples and just like went
Right.
next door and got a job.
Well, right. And again, they just hire people. You don't need any type of credentials or experience to work with animals, and it's sad. But in those areas, I mean, just like the store part, okay, I get the store part, stock some dog food, ring people up, whatever. But when you're working directly with the animals, you probably should have, I mean, I guess, what are we saying now? People should go to college to know how to take care of animals. No, I suppose not. But still, I don't know. I've heard really bad horror stories about PetSmart. Like I said, our PetSmart's okay. They're fine, but Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I took one of my cats there one time and they like way fucking overcharged me at the vet. I was like, "Oh, this is terrible." And but the dogs go and they're fine, but they don't have any, I mean, they're young, they don't have any issues or anything, so it's fine.
When my kids were little, the first time I went in there was to get them hermit crabs because they were like my kids were like 3 or 4 or something, and I was like I wanted to get them like a little pet that they could just kind of whatever. I got them hermit crabs, and it was my first time in there, so they're like making me fill out like all this information, and I'm like, why do you need to know all this? And they're like,
Hermit crabs.
because well we track people that buy animals, and I'm like, why? And they're like, so you don't go to like PetSmart to PetSmart and buy hermit crabs from all over the place. And I'm like, why would I do that? And they're like, in case you're doing something weird with the hermit crabs. And I'm like, what do people do with the hermit crabs? Like, I
No,
suddenly was like so fascinated, and the person's like, this is all hypothetical, but nothing really. It's just like, I guess if you're gonna
I don't
go
know.
and like collect like bunnies, if you needed like 7 bunnies in one night, and you were gonna go to like a bunch of different PetSmarts and buy bunnies, that way they could be like, wait a minute, this guy is obviously trying to build a Franken bunny or something,
I
you
mean,
know?
I understand it and it's a good idea, except the problem is that it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't actually prevent people. Like there are some people that'll like go like get charged in court with like animal cruelty and things like that, and they're not supposed to own any more animals, but they do. Nobody's actually keeping track of that. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's like a false peace of mind. It's terrible. It's not a good, I mean, unless they're gonna do something with it, there's no point of them even doing it. I don't know. I've worked at a lot of pet stores, and
Have you
I've
now?
owned. I have, yeah, but I've worked at like 3 different pet stores.
Is there
Um,
is there some kind of weird ethical boundary? Because in my area, there's only one PetSmart, or it's not a PetSmart. It's a pet store though that sells rabbits or not rabbits, mice for like pythons to eat.
right.
There's only one place that does that. Is that some weird ethical boundary that some places don't cross, or is that just like we don't want to be bothered with it?
I mean, it could be now. It definitely wasn't. That wasn't the norm when I worked at them at the time. Which was over 10 years ago. So I mean, like I said, all the ones that I've worked at, we've sold feeder mice and things like that, and I think
Yeah.
that's pretty normal. The one I worked at seemed to have a little bit more, just a little bit more animals in general. Like nowadays, when you go into any of these pet stores, they're all like, you know, they're fish and they might have some kittens to adopt and maybe they'll have a guinea pig or two or something, but that's really about it anymore. The one that I worked at would get, some exotic animals in sometimes, and not like insanely exotic, but like different birds, different types of fish and things like that, just stuff you can't normally get. But then again, I worked at like smaller pet stores, not like
Mhm.
big brand chains. I worked at one big brand chain, and then I worked at 2 smaller pet stores. So in the smaller ones, they had all kinds of different rats and mice and hamsters and gerbils and of different varieties and things like that, and people would come in and they'd buy bunny rabbits to feed to their big ass snakes and
Bunny rabbits? I thought you just fed
no
a
sir.
mouse.
It just depends. I had a Burmese python and I had to get rid of it. Burmese pythons get massive, massive.
I could never do that. I couldn't have bunnies are too cute. I used to have a bunny.
Yeah, that's why I had to get rid of
Yeah.
it because I couldn't feed it anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's really gruesome. If you like bunnies, then you probably just want to skip ahead a little bit, but you
Yeah.
have to take the bunny and stun it. So you like hit it up against the wall.
Oh.
Yeah. And then give it to your python. And there you go. I couldn't do it anymore. So actually I called around. I took my python to the Cincinnati Zoo and it lived out the rest of its life there. So
Cool.
that was neat. But I used to be really into like exotic animal. I used to have a bunch. I
Yeah,
used to
you seem like a snake chick.
well, I rescue. I mean, I've had snakes, I've had tarantulas, I've had birds. I had 7 fish tanks at one point in time altogether. I used to breed and show. I used to like participate in beta fish shows. I did. I was like a crazy, crazy animal person, and I still would be, but it's expensive and time consuming, and I'd rather look for Bigfoot, and then keep Bigfoot as a pet one day. Hopefully, rescue Bigfoot from the wild.
Breed him as well.
And breed him, yeah.
Have,
Yeah.
what's the one domestic animal that you wish you could have?
That I wish I could have now.
Yeah,
A fox. I've had 2 foxes. I'd get a fox again.
that's cute. I've always wanted a bird.
Oh, I love birds. I've had birds. All kinds of different birds. I'd get another bird again. Yeah.
I hear they're obnoxious and loud, and that just seems like the funniest thing in the world to me. Like, I don't think
They
that would
can
bother me.
be.
I think it would just be funny to listen to them like, ah!
Didn't they do just randomly? You're like, what the fuck is going on in there?
Right.
You go in there, it's nothing. You just
I
cover their cage.
I
You think it's
appreciate that
gonna be good.
energy. I think it would like mesh well with me.
Some of them are really sweet and cute. Like some of them have really cute and sweet voices, and so like they don't really squawk terribly, but like they'll say the same fucking thing over and over again. But like you don't care because it just sounds so adorable. You're like, oh, it's saying that thing again.
I'll
You
teach
know,
mine to
so
say cunt. Cunt! Cunt! Like, where?
it's a big
Go get it, Tucker.
parrot screaming cunt in the back of the house.
me and the Big Up Boy and his dog with Jason Robards and Don Johnson. Me and the bird and the dog going out searching for fucking women at night. Go.
We had like 6 birds at one point, and I mean, some of them are loud. One of them was a pigeon that we had that we rescued. And so, I mean, I don't know. I've had all kinds of animals. Maybe we'll do a whole show on all the animals that I've ever owned because I've had a lot.
I refer to my wife as me and my son refer to my wife as a pigeon because she shits all over everything.
Why don't
Like whatever we're like, oh mom, we're gonna go see Jackass 4 tonight. She's like, no, you're not. It's a school night. Here comes mom the pigeon shitting all over everything right on cue.
See, I thought you were meaning like she literally shits on everything. I'm like,
well,
what?
she got a problem with that too, but we're not gonna talk about.
I think your wife's broken.
Wow.
I think she needs to get fixed.
Not from me, unfortunately. Like that'd be one thing if I blew that asshole out and she had incontinence.
Anyway,
I mean,
so
hey, it's a badge of courage, but fucking. Anyway, yeah, you're right.
You can't be mad at that. You're like, well, that's my fault, you know. Anyway, yeah. Yes, I watched the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre this weekend. And
I did not. How was it?
I don't like it. And you know what? Hold on. So before everybody gets mad, because I've seen a lot of people like it, and I don't understand. Because it just was compared to all of the others, I didn't like it. And the thing is that I don't think there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that I don't like, even the bad ones. Like, I like all of them, and I just wasn't into this one. I might try to watch it again.
Yeah, like I said, I was tied up with fucking family shit. I did not get a chance to watch it. I really wanted to. I consider the first one to be a master's class in filmmaking for the lack of blood alone. For the fact that they did what they did in the way that they did it, I think it deserves to be studied. And I mean that legitimately, as someone who dropped out of film school, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, deserves to be studied because there's a lot of very, very, very interesting things going on there. I'm going to draw boos from the crowd. I've never seen the crazy second one with Dennis Hopper.
What?
I've never seen the second one, no. The third one I saw on USA Up All Night, did not give a shit. The fourth one I saw when it was re-released in the movie theaters after Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey got big.
Yeah.
That one I loved because of the bizarre Illuminati angle at the end.
That one was...
And because of the hot blonde that shows her tits at one point.
Well, a lot of people haven't seen that one.
That one is worth checking out. 100. I would dollars to donuts go see that one. And then the remake with Jessica Biel, where her nipples are hard the whole time, didn't really care. I was just kind of indifferent towards it.
I liked it. It was good. I thought it was good.
There was a 3D one that I think I missed.
So after the Jessica Biel, there was the beginning, and it was okay. I mean, it was basically the same fucking movie as the Jessica Biel movie.
Okay.
And then there was a 3D one, where it's like it doesn't matter. And then there was Leatherface. And I really, really liked Leatherface. I liked that one a lot.
Wow, so there's been 3 of them since Jessica Biel?
Yeah, now there has, yeah.
Holy shit. And then this one that just came out is called what?
I think it's just called Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh. I'll probably check it out tonight.
It's on Netflix.
We can talk about it on Netflix tomorrow when the show drops, but
check it out.
So what was the social commentary, were the kills good at least? Was someone shit in the field? I picked up little snippets of it on Twitter.
I mean, that's all you need to know, yeah.
Who
Someone
shits in
shit
the
field.
does a civilian shit in the field, or do one of the leather faces shit in the field? One of the
I
family
don't think
members.
anybody actually. I mean, if someone did shit in the field, I think I missed. There's like a meme going around because like Leatherface is like hunched down in the field or whatever, and it's like the dude from fucking Friday.
Oh yeah, Ezekiel.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does shit in the field. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I gotta rewatch. I was I couldn't pay attention to it. I have a hard time paying attention to movies anyway. But like usually when I'm interested, and I was interested in this, I'm like, I'm stuck on it. But I just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. Maybe I wasn't in the right headspace. Maybe I need to watch it again because if someone shit in the field, I didn't see that. I don't know.
That would have been on my radar. Are you watching Pam and Tommy at all?
No.
No. All right.
No.
Wow. What else I got? Oh, I did take my kid to see Jackass 4.
How was that? I want to go see that.
It's weird the lessons that it's teaching him because they play with their dicks a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very much like, and I kind of made a half-assed Twitter poll about this, but I think it goes beyond homoeroticism and exists in this place that I think we need to be in, where it doesn't fucking matter. It's a bunch of dudes putting snapping turtles on each other's dicks. And the question isn't whether or not this is gay. The question is only whether or not this is funny. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's an important distinction, and it's important for young men, especially that grow up in this kind of headspace to where we have to be uber masculine, and that anything even remotely homoerotic is a sign of weakness. I've never felt that way. All right.
Okay.
Being homosexuals are some of the strongest willed individuals I've ever met in my whole entire life. They shove entire fucking traffic cones up their ass. Don't tell me they're fucking pussies. You know what I mean? You try to fucking do that. You know what I mean?
No,
it takes some fucking chutzpah. Jesus Christ. Tell me that guy doesn't have balls. Fuck. I want him watching my ass in a foxhole if we ever end up back at Nam. Like, and that's the way I look at like Jackass is like, these dudes are like crazy and shit, but they'll do like things with their dicks, or they'll be full frontal male nudity, and you see some people cringe, or some people be like, "Oh, that's gross," and I think it's hysterical. My son thinks it's hysterical, and I tell him like, "Look, when you're in high school, you can pull your dick out all you want. Guys think it's funny. You can't do it in 6th grade. You got a couple more years where you got.
Well.
Otherwise, they're gonna put you in a home." But
well, I had a similar experience to that this weekend. I was at a party, and my friends have this it's supposed to be okay. Here's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a muscle stimulator, okay, but it is it was given to them by their in-laws, and the in-laws specifically said this is not for your genitals. So what did they do?
Was it a wall?
Was it a what?
Wall?
A wall?
Like an egg beater, like a vibrator?
None of those.
Okay.
No. It's like it's got like 2 prongs on it, and it like it like sends electric through your body. And so like you're supposed to use it on like the different parts of your muscle, and it electrocutes you, I guess, shocks you, I guess. And it's a very interesting thing. So yeah, so what do we do? I don't know. The guys all totally pulled their fucking pants, pulled their pants down. We stuck it on their dick, we stuck it on their taint, stuck it on their buttholes. I mean, it was everywhere. And that was fun. So even at the age that we are now, I don't know, somebody had mentioned how weird it kind of was. They were like, this, it's kind of strange.
Nah, fuck you.
They're like, what other friend group does this on the weekend? And we're like, well, we do, apparently. So
yeah, I mean,
it was fun. So anyway, that was my weekend. So that's how I spent my time. Was shocking balls and taints and buttholes. So and watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But whatever. Party like it's 2022, you guys. We lived through a pandemic. We're allowed to do what we want now. So anyway, you want some news? Huh? You ready for some news? I actually don't have anything major this week. The only thing that I did want to mention was that There has been an update. Remember a couple episodes back, there was that weird animal that was caught by the rescue that they were DNA testing that broke out of its cage and
Yeah, yeah.
nobody knew what it was. Yeah, that guy. So the DNA results came in
And
100% absolute without any doubt, Coyote.
oh, well, now you know.
I mean, I kind of knew, but like, I mean, you always want it to be something. You,
Of
you,
course,
you
yeah.
want it to be. You're like, oh man, I hope it's something that or rather, I guess you want the DNA to be inconclusive. But it wasn't. It was a coyote, and they never found it again. It's somewhere out there with its mangy self, spreading its mange all around, and I don't know. So that there's that very very exciting stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
The only thing I really had is 60 Minutes this week had did a big segment on Havana syndrome,
Yeah.
which I know this is something we've talked about on the show here and there. So I did not get a chance to listen to it all the way through, but I definitely would like to tease that for an upcoming episode
Yeah.
because it's super fascinating to me. It's basically us is kind of saying that there's foreign entities, terrestrial, like foreign governments or foreign spy agencies, that are using ultrasonic weapons against diplomats in, embassies and stuff overseas. So super interesting. It's gaining more and more legitimacy. More and more major news outlets are talking about it. I'm sure we were one of the first because it popped up on my radar almost right away. I mean, I had to read it somewhere, but it's just
Right.
interesting when like you find these little fringe stories that you don't let go of right away, and you see kind of develop over time.
Sure.
And now here we are, maybe 6 months, 9 months later, and 60 Minutes is covering it.
Right.
So I think that shows, like, like Asher's, you always talk about how cryptozoologists, like a lot of these animals that are considered cryptids or were considered cryptids 30 years ago are now proven to be actual legitimate, members of the zoological fucking pyramid or whatever.
Right.
And it's the same thing with some of these conspiracy theories or kind of like, spook stories that we tell.
Sure.
And it's always nice to see one of them kind of get a little bit of traction and a little bit of validity. So we're not going to spend too much time talking about it this week, but definitely keep your eyes peeled because in an upcoming episode we'll get into it.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna. I'm really shocked. It's not something that's been talked about. The first time that I heard about it, I was like, "What? This is like a huge problem. Like, this is a big fucking deal. Why is nobody talking about this?" So it's one of those things. I guess because maybe they. I suppose if you're just going along blissfully unaware and you're just living your life, you don't even have any idea that this is something that could happen. That these types of weapons exist. That this type of attack can happen to you at any point in time.
Well, there's so many other explanations. There's viral infections. You know what I mean? There's environmental causes, and I mean it's there was like an embassy in somewhere in the Middle East, and then it happened to a bunch of Canadians. It was real scattershot where these reports were
Right.
popping up, and but now it's like when it needs to gain enough momentum and enough data for them to really look at this phenomenon as a cohesive phenomenon, and I think that's the point where they're at now.
Right.
You know,
Something is happening. Something is happening. They just don't
right?
really quite understand what it is. They're kind of theorizing right now what it might be. And that's, I mean, that's pretty much what we know. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll really get into it. It kind of reminds me of like, remember when all those people were going to the Dominican Republic and dying? You remember that?
That's specific. What? No,
I don't.
just yeah.
I don't know why I shouldn't laugh at that, but yeah, it was a thing. You don't remember people were going to the Dominican Republic and then like they died and like for like 3 months straight, it was like every week there was like a new another person's died and everybody was like it's just probably coincidental and it's that the news is hyper focused on it right now, so it just seems like there's a lot of people that are traveling there, they're tourists that are dying, but I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that one day. That was an interesting time period to be. I'll send you something on it. You know what? When I send you something on it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it does sound vaguely familiar now that you mentioned
It
it.
was a couple years ago, yeah. But like I said, it kind of reminds me of that. It's like something weird is going on, but we don't really know what it is. Yeah, Havana syndrome. Look it up. Look into it. Or don't wait for us to talk about it. We're going to.
Right. Yeah.
So that's coming. We've had a lot of guests on the show lately. Which has been very abnormal for us. But basically, I mean, I just went down the list. You guys said who you wanted to hear on the show, and that's who we had on the show. And we will open that back up again. We'll have guests back on, but I kind of do miss deep diving into topics. So, I mean, we'll do that, but not this week because this week is the 100th episode. So,
Yay!
Pat, how does it feel to be a part of something that is, not this large, but I mean, something this cool. It's very cool.
Something that I've spent this much time in, and you can see, like, wow, dude, you really did this every week.
Every week. Well, I mean,
a year and a half.
I don't know how many episodes you've been on here for. Yeah, a year and a half. I mean, you've been on majority of them now.
Right.
And some people kind of asked that, initially we really wanted to get Ivy back on, but she's, got her own thing that she does in her life, and that's fine. But when I started the show, okay, I'll start here. Somebody had asked me recently how Pat got involved with the show.
Who the fuck is asking you questions about me?
It was actually our guest last week, Jeff Craig, while the episode was downloading, and you left. But
okay. He's a cool guy. Never mind.
He was just asking, well, how did Pat get on this show? Because some people have listened to it since Ivy, or maybe when you start listening to the show, maybe you listen to the first couple episodes and you notice that wasn't Pat O.
Right.
There's a difference here. So I guess we should tell people how you got started, and if you haven't followed the entire journey, tell people how you got started. How did we meet, Pat?
Yeah, people actually, I got asked that question this weekend when I was driving back to Fort Wayne. My nephews were in the car and they were listening to the show, and they're like, "How do you know this person?" And my recollection of it, and this could be completely off base, was that you were working on the documentary at the time. We still are.
I still am.
But you had put a call out looking for editors.
Yeah.
And I had written you and said, "Hey, I had here's some stuff that I've cut in the past. Here's my resume. I sent you a link to my IMDb page. I would like to do this. It seems kind of easy. It seems like it's going to be like kind of work in spurts. It's not like you're going to dump 13 hours on me at once and say, hey, I need this done by tomorrow. It sounds like once a month you're going to send me 2-3 hours worth of footage to kind of comb through." So I was like, yeah, let's do this. I'm like, I'm available. Hit me up. We'll go from there. And I don't know if you even responded or you were like, okay. And then, so at that point we were at least friendly. And then maybe a short while after that, you had said something where you're like, hey, if you have any paranormal experiences, email me. And I said, oh, and I was like, all right. So then I sat down, I wrote you a second email, and I had told you my alien abduction story. And I told you the full unabridged version, which the audience has not even heard yet.
Yeah.
And I figured, all right, well, that's that. And honestly, that was more for my sake than yours. I never really had any intention of coming on the show and talking about that. For me, that legitimately was, I wanted to talk about it, and I felt like you were somebody who would at least read what I had written. Little did I know at the time your adverse reaction to the written word, and that you probably skimmed over the thing. And we're like, well, I
read it. I did.
I'm just going to call this guy at this point because there's too many fucking letters here. But yeah, so I wrote that, and then you and I talked, and I think we talked about that for half a second, but then more started talking about like just like how to do stuff, because you had a lot of interests and shit, and I was this guy that was 10 years older that had failed at basically everything you ever wanted to try. So I had like a lot of like, well, don't do that, or like, oh, you should try it like this. And we just talked for a little bit. We really hit it off, and that was that.
For like 3 hours the first time we talked on the phone. It was a long conversation. It was fun.
Well, that was back when I had a job. I was at work.
Yeah.
But but yeah, it went well. And then you started the show with Ivy.
Yeah, I did.
And
So Pat tells me, so yeah, Pat sends me both emails or whatever, and I get around to reading them. I had a couple people reach out and want to like work with me on stuff, and then people's encounters kind of started flooding in at that point also, because I had made both posts on social media, looking for people to help work on the documentary, because at the time it was just me. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no social media footprint at all. I didn't even own a smartphone until 2019, you guys. I really didn't. And I had no clue what I was doing. And so I had put out these two posts and on all of my social media, and Pat answered to both. Um, so I talked to him, kind of having I suppose, an interview process. Again, we hit it off about 3 hours. I was just kind of talking about like, yeah, I mean, I want to do this stuff. I don't know how to get my content out there. I'm trying to build my social medias, just trying to get my name out there. And Pat's like, why don't you just do a podcast? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about podcasting. You're like, it's easy. You just sit down. You just you don't have to wear clothes. You just do it. And I was like, this is a good idea. So it was at the beginning of 2020, when the pandemic was happening. And all of us, I think a lot of us started our podcast around then. But I had started working on the documentary right before that point. And I was basically, Ivy was like my quarantine buddy. And, we talk about all kinds of weird shit all the time. She's into that stuff. I've known Ivy actually since high school, one of my oldest friends. And, I mean, she was already here. So we were like, well, fuck it. Let's do a podcast. And we would sit on the couch and use one microphone. So the audio on those old episodes is probably terrible. And just talk about stuff. I mean, we really put a lot of work and a lot of research into the topics, but we were dumb as hell. And, one of the running jokes that we had amongst ourselves was just kind of like, I don't know, something would happen. She would burp or something, or one of us would like drink our drink the wrong way and start like coughing. And then we just kind of laugh and be like, and and I think even in some of those earlier episodes, some of it did get left in. But then we would sit afterwards, and I mean, we would replay the whole entire episode, listen to the whole thing, take out what we didn't want, edit it together. It took a long time. I mean, it took a long time. Nowadays, I'll be dead honest with you, I don't listen to the episodes at all when I edit them. I will listen to this one because this one's a little bit different. You guys will see why. But back then, I didn't listen to them. Or back then, we did sit and listen to them, all of them, and really, really deep dived into editing, which is not something that I even do anymore. And so a couple months down the line, Ivy had gone back to her job, her regular job. And, at that point in time, I was doing pretty good doing what I was doing. So I was still doing my job that I'd been doing. And, I needed somebody to kind of stand in, because we didn't really know how this was going to affect the show and how we record and this, that, and the other. And so I had kind of put feelers out there. Hey, who wants to kind of be the temporary co-host? And Pat chimes in like, hey, I'll do it. I'm like, yeah, cool. We can talk about your alien stuff on the show or whatever. And then Pat just kept coming back, and he hasn't left. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's not exactly how I remember it. So she had asked me to come on as a guest to talk about my alien encounter, and I had listened to the show.
You've listened to it since day one.
Right. Well, some of them I skipped, but for the most part, I listened to them. And the Animal Crossing episode was a little weak. I'll be honest with you. I didn't make it through the whole one, no. But there was some good ones in there. And I had nothing going on. I was doing a podcast with Loyola College Radio up here in Chicago, and had done an interview with Tobias Wayland. And that was so what happened with that, just kind of, so I was very familiar with the podcasting world. And the caveat that I was given to do this show for Loyola was that I could talk to whoever I wanted to about whatever I wanted to, as long as the person was either from Chicago or there was a very strong Chicago connection. So getting Tobias on to talk about his first book, The Lake Michigan Moth Monster, Lake Michigan Mothman, what the fuck it's called?
Monster.
I don't know. Go look on your shelf and see what it's called, because y'all should fucking own it.
Right.
But I had him on, and my producer was like kind of okay about it. But then the pandemic hit, and I really wanted to talk to people from all over the place to try to see the way that the pandemic and news of the pandemic was spreading, not just in Chicago, but in Tennessee and Oregon and California. You know what I mean? Like to get like a, we were all so isolated very quickly, and it was and the rules were so different from state to state that I thought that having like a Zoom roundtable discussion with people from all over the place would really help us give a unique perspective on how this COVID thing was evolving, which from a journalist standpoint, I still agree is a fucking excellent idea. But my producer didn't like it because it incorporated too many non-Chicago people. Even though the first thing that we pitched, all of our guests were Chicago transplants. Like we had this dude Jawa who was from Chicago but lives in Tennessee now. It was all people that from here that moved somewhere else. So I felt like we still were keeping it in Chicago, but it was Chicagoans living abroad. How are we all affected? How are we all reacting to COVID? And the producer at Loyola kind of shut the show down at that point. So I was left without a home. Asher's messaged me and said, hey, Ivy's taking a sabbatical. Would you be willing to come on for a week and talk about your alien experience? Which is something I never had any intention of doing in a podcast format. But I was so attention starved because I didn't have my other podcast that I said, you know what I'm going to do? And I never told Ashley this. I'm going to come on and I'm going to purposely drag the story out to 2-3 episodes. And if I can drag it out to 2-3 episodes and she lets me do that, I think she'll be convinced that I'm a good enough co-host and she'll let me take over. And that's what that's exactly what my manipulating ass did. So if you listen to that first episode I really fucking run circles and talk a bunch of shit. And then right when we get to the good stuff, I'm like, well, we should talk about this next week. The show's gone long enough. And you were like, okay. And then I had a chance to come back the next week and do it again. And I felt that if I did that long enough, that like you would just kind of get used to it and you would like me and it was like extending your audition.
Wow.
And then
Okay. I mean, okay, so you're saying that I fell for the conspiracy. There was a conspiracy and I fell for it.
It was a black op. I won't say it was a conspiracy. It was definitely a little underhanded, but not really. I mean, it was for your benefit anyway. Like I knew you needed me as a co-host. I just wanted to give you ample time to realize that you needed me as a co-host. So those first 2-3 episodes, I really dragged the fuck out. And I mean, here I am today. Hopefully, hopefully I'll make 101.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. No, the first like 10 episodes, because it was like, we did the first 2, and I mean they're good, and so it worked great. But like the first 10 episodes that we had done, you were still just like temporary because the idea was that Ivy was supposed to come back. She was supposed to come back. She was supposed to come back. And then that just didn't, it didn't mesh with her life. And, that's fine. And she didn't come back. And, absolutely no hard feelings because, since then we've now taken the show. We've got our own format, our own way that we do things. When I refer people to come listen to the show, I don't refer them to go listen to episode number 1 or number 2 and it's not because me and Ivy didn't have a good show. Listen, me and Ivy had a great show together. It's just that it's different now. It's a different vibe. We have a way that we built the show now. We got the new, the weekend and then the news and then the topic. And I mean, we got into the group of things and we found something that worked for us. And now this is what the show is. So, I mean, if you're a new listener, I mean, these are the episodes you should be listening to now. Go back and listen to the first couple episodes. When we had Jeremiah on, I tell people go listen to his first episode and go listen to his interview with himself because it's hilarious. And also, it's fun to see the change, and when I have people on our show and they have their show of their own, I will listen to the last episode that they did and the very first episode that they did just to compare. Because there's obvious growth there and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I'm glad you stayed.
Her episodes were good. I mean, she had a very distinct. So I'm like, not like a linguist, but I like listening to people's voices, and especially people with unique voices. And she has a very unique voice. Yeah. And the way that she pronounces things and the way that she says things. Her cadence, and it made it like audioly or orally, not orally, but you know what I mean.
Oh, orally. Okay.
Yeah. Like
auditorily. Yeah.
Yeah. Like engaging to hear your back and forth with her. to where it kept me listening, for a while.
For a while,
So
sure. And now we've gotten to this and the show. Will it be different in another 100 episodes? Maybe. I don't know. Will there be another 100 episodes? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not, I'm not stopping the show anytime soon. With or without Pat O. I mean, I was already auditioning people while you got heart surgery. I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
You fucking.
No, I was so fucking sad, dude. I was like, oh my God, Pat, what am I going to do? It's not, because we kind of talk about it a lot. The fact of the matter is that people come back and people listen because they like us together. And we are very much a package deal in this situation. So, I mean,
I never get any of this feedback. I'm not
You
doubting
don't.
that this feedback exists, but I love it when you say things like that, because I'm like, what? Like that's great. I want it to be true. I'm not
You guys go be
disagreeing with it.
nice to go tell Pat how much you love the show. Pat is also on social media. You can find his social medias in the description down below, wherever it is you're listening to. It's down there. Go follow him and go beef him up. You guys tell me all the time, and I appreciate it.
No, you don't have to do that. It's fine.
Absolutely. No, yes, they do. I'm telling them that they have to. Just, tell us both. And maybe I should tell you more. I don't know. But, I think that obviously here we are 100 episodes in, and it's not because it's been a failure at all. It's because the show just continues to get bigger and bigger, and I'm excited for what happens in the future. But let this one be a little time capsule of where we were at episode 100.
Right.
And this is currently where we are. So some of the things that we've implemented, some of us, and by some of us I mean me, this is totally my fault, have dropped the ball on, is this engagement. I've had the email set up since the beginning of the show, and people are free to email the show. I really just don't mention it a lot, and I don't really know why I don't, but you guys can email whatever you'd like to on Wednesdays We Talk Weird at gmail.com, all one word. And some people have been sending stuff in. But our tagline for the show is, it's like coast to coast AM for people that fuck, except it never really has been, because we've never really had people calling in. Not that Coast to Coast was strictly callers, but I think that without having that little piece, I think that's what's kind of been missing from the show. So we came out with the hotline, and you guys could call in. And then when we came out with the hotline, I just never really did anything with those voicemails. And so again, I'm a cunt. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It was hard to figure out how to get it recorded properly and how to get it out there. So with this episode, we really wanted to, well, I suppose maybe I can't speak for Pat, but I really wanted to engage with you guys as much as possible. And I wanted to, simp for you as much as you simp for me, because you deserve the reciprocation. And we thought we'd play some of the voicemails that we get, and also read off some of the emails that we get. And I think that this is going to be tons of fun. So I'm totally here for it. Pat, do you have anything to say before we get into that?
No, I was very happy with everyone that called. I was glad that there was no drama. I know we talked about that. That was my biggest fear.
Oh, okay. I was like, why would there be drama? I know now why there would be drama.
People would call up and be like, "This motherfucker," they try to, I don't know, but
No, there was
no,
none of that.
yeah, no, it was good. It was nice. I feel like all of our friends that called in were people who we respect, that are titans of industry.
Yeah.
So it was very cool. It was very, very cool.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always fun to get that. And maybe when you guys hear this, maybe you guys it'll give you the urge to want to also call in and say whatever the fuck it is you want to say. You don't have to share your encounters. You can literally say whatever you want, and we will react to it from here on out. If you send a voicemail or you send an email, it's going to be in the episodes. So
I will say this though, the one thing that kind of disappointments about the numbers is that it's about 80% fellow podcaster, cryptozoologists patting us on the back, which is always appreciative. But it was only about 20% people calling in with stories of their own. And I guess I would have liked to see that 20% be a little bit higher.
Sure.
So
we did get, so one thing I will say, and I guess maybe I'll make a separate drive. I just made this one because I have control of the phone number. So when you guys call that phone number, it goes to me, and then I have to download it and put it on a Google Drive for Pat to listen to. These ones I only put on here because this was for the show. We do have others that people call in about, but they don't want to be shared. So there's an option of that. If you don't want your situation shared, or if it's something you want to have me work on personally as an investigation, I will do that. Just you have to share that in the voicemail. Sometimes people didn't say that and they like left their phone number and shit, and so I don't want to play that on the show.
Yeah.
I just left those ones out. But we do have other stories. But you guys are welcome to share. The thing is that it's one file. Yes, I can bleep out your phone numbers and your contact information and stuff, but if you want to share your stories and your encounters and stuff and you want them on the show, um, I'm all about explicit consent. So, please consent to that. We'll share it here. So there's that. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and we will get into our first voicemail.
Hi, my name's Sydney. I've been following your account for a little bit. I live in Virginia. I've been in contact with, I want to say, a couple investigators through Instagram and Facebook over the past 6 months, but not much has come from it, due to the fact that my neighbor has had most of the, crazier experiences. But basically, over the past 6 months, we've been seeing like orange glowing orbs, throughout the sky. I've had probably 10 encounters over the course of the past 6 months. I posted a video of it on my Instagram, but basically, I guess ghost lights, spook lights. Our first encounter was when we were on a four-wheeler driving down a back road, and one of our buddies' houses is around this bend. The trees are like shadowing and towering over the road. I noticed this glowing orange light. I was like, holy shit, like that's like super bright, and it was like low hanging over this guy's house. As we approach to where there's a clearing, we watch it, and it looks like so strange. Probably only if like 10 feet above his house, dimly lit, small orange orb. Probably like if I were to bring it in front of me, probably be like the size of a basketball, but from our like perspective, it looked like a baseball. And as we stop, we notice that it's moving across the road. And we literally are just staring at it like, what the hell is happening? It is moving slow, but like steady, like smooth. It gets to the point where it's now on my right. And it's like right above the trees. It is basically like bobbing in the wind. It was so close that you could see the transparency, you could see the orange glowness of it. And as I step off the four-wheeler, like we were stationary, as I step off of it, we're still watching it move. But right when I pointed at it and was like, what the fuck? Like it stopped. And nothing's intimidating by a little light. But I guess in that moment, like we just knew like to just go, I guess. Like we were just overcome with like fear. And we hop on this four-wheeler and we fly, and it's around dusk. All this started, it's all a crazy story. My neighbor, I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw that she posted on our community page that she's been seeing orbs, lights. She asked if anyone had orange like drones. Nobody did. No one. There was a few people who have seen the orbs too that PM messaged her later on and said, yeah, I live.
Yeah, her story just cuts off.
Yeah. First of all, Sydney, thank you for calling and listening to the show. I believe I know who you are. I believe I follow your Instagram account. I'm not going to include your last name, and probably not the city that you live in, just in case, because your message did cut off. But yeah, very interesting how. And maybe it's because when I look at the timestamp of it, it's 3 minutes, but she did not call back. So that's interesting. Maybe you're not aware that it cut off. What do you think about the this weird, intimidating ball of light?
I usually don't. Orb stories are kind of like not sexy, I guess, because like
Yeah, I agree.
they're not craft. There's no occupants. There's no aliens. But I felt that hers sounded genuine.
Yeah.
Did sound like she was fucking around, and there's just enough of um, I guess realistic detail, and but obviously a healthy dose of the unexplained to
Sure.
where I think it makes a good story.
Well, I'm very interested in the fact that this has been going on for months, and I want to hear the other stories. Like, I want to hear, what did the neighbors say, what the neighbors been seeing them, who else has been seeing them. I'm very interested. This is something that I would be more than happy to physically come there. I mean, it's in West Virginia, so no surprise there. That it's fucking weird in West Virginia, but
Hey, let's go. I'll kill one of these things.
oh my god, fucking weird in West Virginia. We need to make this a t-shirt. People will love it. Okay, anyway. Yes, Pat will kill this orb of light for you, Sydney. He will kill all the light orbs. No, but I agree. Orb stories are usually not very sexy. But typically when I say orb stories, what I mean by that is like a picture of an orb or like a video of an orb. You don't get a ton of reports of people that physically actually see the orb right in front of them. And even then, the way that she's describing it is that it's small. And I don't know if that's simply because of distance. I definitely have a lot more questions, than I do answers for this one. Again, I'd love to hear more stories. If you have more of them, Sydney, and you want to call back and share them, we could talk about them on the show. Or if you want to go ahead and send me a message directly on Instagram, you can. I mean, I'd be interested. Like I said, I'd hear them, and I'd be interested in coming down and checking out the area, because I'm not surprised. People in the mountains definitely have a lot of local lore about all kinds of weird stuff happening. And lights in the woods is one of them. That is something that is part of it. You're not supposed to go chasing after them or anything like that. It's just part of the legend, but it's associated with various things. So
Yeah, it's mostly face stuff instead of extraterrestrial, right?
yeah, mostly, yeah. Fae, folklore, things like that. Yeah, definitely. But she did say it was in the sky, so I don't know. Again, I'd like to hear the other stories. I'd like to hear your other instances and encounters and things with these balls of light, and kind of maybe whoever else is talking about it. I mean, we can talk about it. So that was that was neat.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Ashley.
Oh, thank you. Well, I didn't do anything, but thank you. Thanks. Okay, well, there's our first story right out of the gate here. The next one I think that we'll probably spend a little bit more time on, because it happens to be something that I know a bit about. Pat, are you ready to get into the next one?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Hey guys, my name is Zach. I'm calling in today with a possible run-in experience with the Melonheads. I say possible because I'm not exactly sure this will make sense, I guess, after I finish my story. So a brief background on the Melonheads. So this story has been told dozens of times, lots of interpretations, but I'll tell you guys a brief story or rundown of how I heard it. So there's this hospital in Connecticut that would do all these experiments on children. And one of the doctors there, he supposedly filled their heads up with fluid, causing them to be misshapen. Now, this went on for decades, and so these children were growing up and having children, and the cycle would continue until eventually there was enough of them that they killed the doctor, burnt down the hospital, and they escaped throughout Connecticut. The main place where they've been seen is Monroe, Connecticut. So some friends and I, we decided to go check it out. So the road that they've been spotted on is, it's called Velvet Road, but it's also been nicknamed Dracula Drive. I'm not exactly sure why, but so we checked it out. It's a very heavily wooded area. So if there was going to be melonheads or any kind of creature living in the woods, this is the spot to do it. So we drove slow. We had the windows down to see if we could spot anything. And I saw these shoes hanging from a telephone line that I thought might be a nice picture. So I stopped the car to take a picture. as soon as I did, we heard this rustling in the woods that was coming toward us. We were kind of freaking out a little bit, and then we heard this scream that I still don't know how to describe. I've never heard anything like this in my entire life. It sounded like if a man, a deer, and this is going to sound kind of weird, maybe a mid to high pitched Bigfoot scream. If all three of those screamed at the same time, that's what this sounded like. As soon as we heard that, we just drove off. We rolled up the windows and left. We didn't stick around. So I can't definitively say that it was a melonhead because, again, we didn't stick around to find out. But it was just something very weird that we experienced. So we'd love to hear your guys' interpretation on this. I feel like no one is talking about the melonheads much, or if at all. They're definitely one of the lesser known and talked about legends here in New England. But we'd definitely love to hear your guys' take on the story. Bye.
Well, that was fun. I think that was a really fun story. I mean, I guess if you want to call that fun, I don't know. Pat, what do you know about the Melonheads? Have you heard of these things? You have, I'm sure.
Yeah, isn't that Kinsey and Sarah Cooper?
Are you calling them Melonheads?
That's their backyard. I don't know. One of them out screaming in the woods one night or something.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of it before. That was like I want to say I read about that like in the weird books.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And they are. They're in the weird books. Melonheads is also local. It's here in Ohio by me. It's one of those stories I kind of grew up with was the Melonheads. So, just yeah. I mean, basically, caller Zach. Thank you, by the way, for listening and calling and sharing your experience. I I've held on to this voicemail for a while because I wanted to do an episode on the Melonheads. Unfortunately, there just isn't. I don't feel like there's enough information on them to make an entire episode out of it. But with these Melonheads, yeah, I mean, pretty much what Zach says. There was a doctor who experimented on these children, and the children's, he was injecting their head fluid. Their heads got really big, and then eventually, the story goes a couple of ways. Eventually, the doctor died. Eventually, the kids, killed the doctor. Whatever your local lore is about the Melonheads. Now they roam the woods with these giant heads looking kind of like grays now. Yeah, Kenzie Gleason had mentioned, her theory one time that the Dover Demon, which is a Maine story. It's a New England story. I think it happened in Maine. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the Dover Demon could have potentially been a Melonhead, or the Melonheads could be the same thing as the Dover Demon, whatever. I like that theory a lot. I think that's possible. As far as Zach and his story goes and what this might have been, I don't think what you heard was a Melonhead. I don't know. I've never heard of them having these blood-curdling screams before. However, the scream that you heard is definitely something that's been, brought to my attention, or more often than not, rather than people seeing something in the woods, they usually hear this scream, and the scream's been associated with a bunch of different stuff. I'd be interested to know what time of year this was, because another big thing that it's associated with is the Wendigo, and the Wendigo is known for having these screams, and usually if the tribe hear this scream out in the woods, then they know that a Wendigo is getting ready to attack, and so they prepare and do their things to kind of ward it off. But I think that there's something to it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, especially without you seeing it. That's hard. But you guys don't have cougars. Cougars are often mistaken for these weird disembodied screams because they sound fucking horrifying. Go listen to it. Go Google cougar screams, and it's horrifying. But supposedly you don't have those in New England. That's what they say anyway. I beg to differ, but I mean, that's the only thing as far as wildlife is concerned in that area that that we know of that could even potentially sound like that. Other things could have been Bigfoot. Banshees also sound like that. That's my take on it. Pat, what do you think about the whole thing?
Stay in your car.
Stay in your motherfucking car.
Unless I'm there.
So
I'll kill it for you.
Let's say, would you go kill this, whatever it is?
I'll go kill it and I'll come back.
It's just Bigfoot stubbed his toe, you guys. He got a splinter. He's very unhappy. No, very scary.
Yeah, the melon. Well, I'll talk about it for a second. So the melon hunt thing, I think, is interesting because it comes from. We have legends like that around us because, and it's always interesting how the legends kind of pop up and what baggage they bring with them. For us, it's always which granted I live in a blue state, but the narrative has always been when that bastard Reagan in the '80s shut down all the mental health facilities, all these people like kind of ran free, and that's why we have so much. The homeless situation kind of exploded here in Chicago, is because they closed all the mental health places, right? And people would go then, teenagers and wannabe Satanists would go to these rundown, closed facilities and drink and do whatever there, right? So then over the years, stories started to make their way back about what they found. And it was always the most terrifying, horrifying, disgusting shit that you would find in the basement of these abandoned mental health facilities, right? Tunnels that go on, doorways that look like they were bricked up, rooms with manacles bolted to the walls, you know what I mean, where they would do ungodly experiments on these poor people that had Down syndrome or whatever. And, this kind of became history. If people tell you about Washington crossing the Delaware long enough, you don't need to look it up in a history book. You've just heard that story and it kind of fits. And then that's that, And I feel like this idea of early 20th century scientific experimentation on less just individuals in general kind of inadvertently creating some type of monster that now roams the area. Those stories are very prevalent. I think they're very prevalent for a reason, is because they're grounded more in fact than we want to admit. Like, take the melonhead shit out of it, where it's kind of a joke and they have this weird moniker. This stuff really happened. This is things that human beings did to other human beings at some point in human history not that long ago. Yeah. And it's very possible that you'll still see the evidence of it out there, So I would say instead of roaming the woods looking, if you really want to see some shit, instead of roaming various parts of the woods looking for cryptids or whatever, or escape mental patients, go to the facilities themselves.
Sure.
Put your money where your mouth is. Go to the facilities themselves and look around and get past all the poorly drawn satanic iconography on the first floor and get into the basements and you know what I mean? And really see what's down there. I have so many stories from so many different people. My brother-in-law, he's a dirt biker, and they used to ride their dirt bikes in the tunnels underneath one of the facilities in Manteno because the tunnels would go on forever. So you get your bikes down there, and the tunnels are empty, but you turn your light on, and it's kind of cool to zip down there when you're fucking stoned. And they would see all kinds of shit, not necessarily ghosts, but just even like the physical remnants of the experiments that they used to do.
I'm a big sucker for human experimentation. I love that shit. I mean, it's one of my favorite topics. I'm so sick. I'm like, I love it. It's great. Experiment on people. No, I find it really interesting. How much we put other people through. And, for the sake of science, and actually, and me and Ivy covered it in our Ethics of Science episode at one point in time, but maybe we'll pick some very specific examples of that. Maybe we'll deep dive into them in some of our future episodes.
It's still a hot button topic today. I swear I went down a rabbit hole this morning, looking at something about the Denver International Airport that led to a thing about underground bases, that led to a thing about this is why so many people go missing, is because they're doing these experimentations or they're harvesting organs and all this shit. Like this is still part of our pop culture folklore.
It is. Yeah.
It's not going away. And you hope that it's just one of these stories that just kind of propagates itself. And it's not because it's grounded in anything. It's a terrifying thing to consider. This is what we're doing to the people that we can get away with doing it with.
Well, and so it's a weird. I think I've shared it before on the show, and I always kind of forget the details. You know what? I'm gonna make a note to myself, and I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna share. I have an actual real life friend who, at one point in time, we were all like having a party, a bonfire, something at somebody's house, and she had like mentioned something about, hey, remember when we were kids and like, they had us do this thing, and I don't remember what exactly the thing was, but it was fucking weird, and we were all like, no, that never happened to any of us. And she's like, what? That didn't? And it kind of blew her mind a little bit. And then we all just kind of joked that like she was experimented on as a child. And it's not really a joke. I mean, it really did happen. I'm going to ask and see what exactly it was. And, like I said, I'll update you guys next week about it. But like the fact that like, and she's my age. I mean, she's 30, and so this just happened to her, 25 years ago or whatever. And it's still very much happening today.
Oh yeah.
And so that, like I said, I think maybe we should deep dive on some of the ones that have happened, some of the ones that we presume happen, just to kind of give a scope. If you guys have any ones in particular, you'd like to talk about, like, just because I think it's interesting, I'd like to talk about like the Stanford prison experiment. I think that's really neat.
There's a really good movie about that came out.
Yeah, there is. And I think it's called the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah.
But no, it is. It's good. And like I think that's a cool one. I like I like talking about Unit 731, 741, the Japanese experimental unit. I like that one a lot. We'll talk
The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Is that what it's about?
The Men Who Stare at Goats. Well, if you ever fucking watched it, I can make that movie about anything I want.
And I wouldn't know. I'd be like, what?
You'd have no idea. It's about this little red-haired girl in Dayton, Ohio, that has a dream. No, it's basically the tail end of the military and CIA MK Ultra experiments, where they were trying to do more positive stuff. They were trying to remote view and become warrior monks, and it's a little bit more comical. But at the end, they find out that all of the research that they're using and all of the stuff that they're coming up with is being kind of twisted and used to psychologically torture prisoners at Guantanamo Bay. And that's kind of, and then they disband the program because they were like, no, man, we were doing this to fucking fight a war without firing a bullet, and it's like, well, no, we're using this to fucking get information from, detainees in Guantanamo. So,
well,
that's
something different. But listen, I'm going to fucking watch this movie. I promise. I don't know when, but I'm going to watch it. Just like, and while I watch it, I'll listen to Alkaline Trio.
God, no, one at a time.
Damn it.
I completely, absorb the experience.
Both of them, yeah, sure. No, that makes sense. No, the Japanese unit was something different. It was during World War II. Everybody thinks the Nazis were so bad. You guys have no fucking idea what the Japanese were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then we let them get away with it because we're like, hey, that's cool. We're going to hire your scientists and give you all clemency. It's fucking crazy. I'd love to do a whole episode on it one day. Anyway, enough about that. I could buy that there are people roaming around that have been experimented on and they are miserable and maybe even deformed from the experience. I don't think that the Melonhead story itself actually happened. I think that there could be something roaming around with a giant head, like that. And it's not quite human. Again, I like the idea that the Dover Demon could potentially be a Melonhead. And I've got the Dover Demon down on our huge list of topics to cover. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more then. But yeah, whatever it was that Zach heard in the woods that day, I think was none of those things. I think it was probably something else and probably something a little more supernatural, but getting in your car and leaving was a really good idea. So.
Unfortunately, it's followed you home, and tonight it's going to visit you.
Tonight is the night.
We have it on very good authority.
It told Pat, I guess, when he was trying to kill it, it was like, no, let me just kill that one guy and then you can, kill me. And Pat's like, okay.
It struck a bargain with me.
Yeah.
I do love bargaining with demons at Crossroads.
That's how he got on the show.
That's how I got my show, yeah. Just waiting for the second part of that thing to come through, but we'll see. I got patience.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you, Zach, again for sharing your story. let's go ahead and move on to the next call, shall we?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Hello, this is Sherwin Sketch. I just want to say, love your podcast. Something that that I can look forward to. Always come out learning a little something new that I hadn't before. Love when you guys talk like on the real things, such as like Dogmans and such, and like your actual opinions. Always something to take away. Anyways, have a good day. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, this sounds like a plant.
A plant?
Anytime anyone mentions Dogman, I'm like really suspicious.
No,
And
okay,
that's your fault. That's
No.
you and your friends' fault.
listen, no,
It's like your code word for
So hold on.
fuckery.
I'll say this. First of all, Sherwin, thank you for calling. I know Sherwin. I met him at CryptidCon.
Okay.
And so no, he's he's a great guy. Actually, this dude's an amazing fucking artist. I will link his Instagram account. I think it's Sherwin Sketch. But I will link it down below. He's a fucking fantastic artist.
See, the name now makes sense. I just thought he was pronouncing himself as being sketchy.
No, he's.
I'm like, yeah, yo, this is Sherman Sketch. I like your Dogman content. I'm like, all right, buddy. I know where this one's fucking coming from.
Fucking Dogman people. No, none of these people are plants. I did not ask. Well, that's not true. I did ask you guys to call, but not individually. Everybody did this on their own accord. So, take that with what you will. But no, Sherwin's a great fucking dude. Like I said, he's got great art. I'm super happy that you're enjoying the show. I like that you like our take on things. Dogman has been like a big fan favorite. Pat, are you a fan of the Dogman?
Busted ass werewolf. I don't know. We had the werewolf. Why do we have to?
What?
It's like renaming the Gillman like Trout Monster.
No, werewolves
It's
are
like-
people that turn into wolves. Dogmen are different. They're just dogmen all the time.
So they're okay.
They're always.
So let's talk about let's talk about this for a second, just for my sake,
Absolutely.
as a storyteller. So yes, werewolves have lycanthropy. They change. They're allergic to silver. They
Right.
change with the cycles of the moon. Yada yada yada. Okay, fine. Dogmen are bipedal wolves, wolf type creatures that just stay that way.
They're big canines. So they can be either bipedal or they can be a quadruped. They can go down on. That's like one of the things about the Dogman that people talk about is that sometimes when people see this thing, it will start off on all fours and it will move and go up bipedal. And when it does that, there's a popping sound that's associated with its joints that people hear. So then the question comes into play of, is this some type of evolutionary step where they're able to do both and do both well, and maybe their joints actually shift to accommodate for whatever position it is that they're in?
Are they supernatural?
Some people say yes and some people say no.
Because if they're supernatural, why would their joints need to pop? Why would they have joints?
Exactly. Right. If they're supernatural, then their joints wouldn't need to pop.
So someone's selling you some bullshit. Either the joint people or the supernatural people.
Either one. Well, I don't know. No, there could be two different things. I think that
Now we think there's three different. There's like ghost dogmen. Then they all look like.
I guess if you want to call them ghosts, I don't call them ghosts, but I mean, I think that it is something. Here's what I think, and it mostly stems from the weird Bigfoot sightings that there's like portal Bigfoot or whatever, interdimensional Bigfoot, that happens. And with that, see, I gotta send you some reading material. With that, I think that there is a flesh and blood undiscovered species of ape out there in everywhere of the world, but I think that there is also something that has some type of trickery element and presents itself as maybe Bigfoot or Dogman, something weird. So that way you know that you're seeing something weird, but you don't exactly know what, either because maybe we can't perceive what they actually are because they are higher dimensional beings than we are.
Native Americans think that Bigfoot are portal hoppers, so I'm gonna throw my lot in with them. Anyone want to argue with them? Go right ahead, but you deal with that shit.
Well, shit, you win. I don't know.
Exactly. It's like no one's gonna argue when you're talking about imaginary shit. No one's gonna argue against a Native American. You're just gonna be like, all right, dude, whatever. So,
I mean, I think imaginary is a very strong way to put it, but that's just me. But hey, I guess that's why Sherwin likes the show, because we're honest about our opinions about things,
Sure.
and that's what he enjoys. So
Wonderful.
I think I did not used to believe in Dogman. I do now. We talked about this recently on the Dogman Revisited episode. Go listen to that if you want more Dogman content. I will let you guys know what I come up with during all my research and all the investigations and all that. Maybe I'll see it one day. I don't know. I hope I do. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because we do have some of these emails. I'm going to go ahead and read one off.
Sure.
You're gonna recognize this one. I'll tell you. All right.
Is it from an ex?
Well, I don't. It could be. It could be. You tell me.
Oh boy. All right.
You tell me. Asher's and Pat O, congrats on 100 episodes. I've been a longtime listener of the podcast, and I'm so glad that I found it. It's become a part of my life every Wednesday to listen to the show, not just for the interesting subject matter, but because I feel I've gotten to know you both by listening. I've been a weirdo my whole life, and we're few and far between. And I remember happening to run across the podcast the first time when I was just searching for a unique podcast to listen to. At the time, it was Asher's and Ivy. I felt like I found new friends. What I love most about the show is the truthful, down-to-earth attitude you both have towards the topics you discuss. It's refreshing to hear people talking about cryptids, aliens, all things strange, without the host having some kind of agenda or sales pitch. I was lucky enough to meet you both at the Hidden Marietta Paranormal Expo recently, and it was well worth the drive from Akron to meet you and see all the other cool shit there. Plus, Pat has great taste in shoes. Keep up the awesome work, and I can't wait for the 200th episode. And that is from our buddy, Tony Lee, who will be our mascot in the future. So
Definitely not an ex, because I will fuck that man again.
There you go, Tony.
He's a lifelong. He's a lifelong partner.
He's a lifer.
Yeah.
Them shoes, I'm telling you. Yeah, we did. Thanks, Tony, and Loretta, his wife. I think you guys are married. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no, it was really cool. That's awesome that you came just to see us. That's I mean that's really neat. I know that like people. This was Pat's first event coming out with me, and this was our first event hosting a table and things like that, period. But I know like people have approached me and stuff at other things, and I don't think though it's because they came to see me. I think they just happen to be there, they're into it, that's really, I mean, that's neat. That's really cool. That's the point of the show, and that's kind of what I said from the get-go. I mean, I really wanted this show to be different from the usual spooky, scary story time, because I think that shit is boring. This stuff is fun. Like that's what I like about it, is that you can have fun with it and do whatever you want. And I really encourage you guys. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm an investigator first. I'm a podcast host second. I want you guys to think critically. I don't want to tell you how to think or what you should think about things. I just want to give you the information, maybe share what I think about it, and also throw some dick jokes in there. I mean, I think it's fun. Pat, what do you got to say about that?
Specifically jokes about my dick. Yeah, I guess I'm a podcaster first, and it's interesting because this was something I guess I was thinking about leading up to this week's show. My interest in the paranormal predates pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
It's one of my core personality values. It really is. Before I was into action movies, before I was into independent film, before I was into Guns N' Roses, before I was into Operation Ivy, before I knew how to play the bass, before I knew how to hold a camera, I was into this stuff. This, if you kind of have to peel back the onion layers, this is going to be pretty close to my center. And for most of my adult life, I never really had a chance to express it. Kind of what I said earlier about Tobias, when I was given the free reins to do whatever I wanted at Loyola.
Yeah.
I had a sex worker in first because, come out on me. But like number 3 was fucking Tobias. You know what I mean? Like I had him in right away as well. Because that was someone that I wanted to talk to. I wanted to pick this guy's brain and like talk to him about paranormal shit around the Midwest.
Tobias separately in our own ways, which was cool.
Right. Well, he's such a titan of fucking the paranormal around here. His shadow looms large. But Yeah, it was one of the. I guess this is, as much as I don't consider myself a paranormal investigator. I definitely do not put that on my tax returns. I don't consider myself a cryptozoologist or anything like that. I'm just like this guy. I consider myself more of a podcaster first, but there's no way that I can kind of dismiss my love for this, and love for it makes it seem like, oh my god, I really love chocolate shakes, but you could do without them. Like, this isn't something I could do without. This is like water. This is more than love. This is part of who I am and part of what makes me tick, and what I need to function. And to have a show where I can talk about it, I think there's a lot of people out there that would really benefit from having their own paranormal podcasts. And that's why I see so many of them. And I try to listen to a lot of them because we're all brothers and sisters, right? And what was that one that I was listening to, The Blue Room?
Oh
We were
yeah,
just
they're
talking
so
about
great.
it this week. And like those guys, like, you know, um,
They love our show too. Shout out to them.
yeah, shout out to them. I'm glad you love our show. I liked yours. I listened to one episode. It wasn't bad. I will listen to more. I will definitely listen to more. I listened to your Nazi one, and I guess we'll agree to disagree about some of the facts about World War II. But I like the passion. I like the enthusiasm. I like the fact that a couple guys sat down and said, we're going to talk about this shit for fucking 3 hours. Um, I like that. I think we need more of that. And I think that people that are interested and fascinated in this stuff need to talk about it, not just to shed light on the subject itself, but to shed light on you and as a person, as why you're drawn to this. Because this whole endeavor is a two-way fucking street. And the more we look into this stuff and the more time we spend investigating this stuff, I think we need to ask ourselves why we're so willing to dedicate so much of our lives to this. There's a reason that we're at episode 100 right now, and this is a weekly podcast, is because Asher and I, without fail, get together once a week and do this stuff with varying results. Sometimes it's good, and
Sure,
sometimes it is what it is.
I
But
feel it.
but there's never ever been any type of conversation between the two of us about skipping a week, or
Yeah,
I don't feel like it, or I don't want to do it. Even if we know we have a shit topic, it's like, all right, we're gonna fucking do it anyway. We'll make it funny. But like, we want to do this, and we want to talk about this stuff week after week after week. And it doesn't surprise me, I guess, and that maybe that sounds a little egotistical, that there's people that want to listen week after week after week after week after week. Because I know I tuned into sightings every week. I tuned into X Files every week. When I was a kid and I was hungry for this content, and I know what it's like to be like that, um, you couldn't give me enough of it. So to be in a position now where we can create it, I think is like the ultimate, you know, it's the ultimate privilege.
yeah.
And regardless of where this whole thing goes, like the fact that I can make this stuff for people, even if it's not the most scientifically researched fucking deep dive, whatever, even if like our half-ass mention of melon heads gets somebody to go on Google and go down their own rabbit hole and learn other stuff about underground bases or something, like, it's all worth it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that that is something to be said. We try very hard to deliver. I try, and I think Pat, and I think you try. I've seen your efforts. We try very hard to deliver good, accurate information as we know it, right? But a week is not enough time to really put it all in there. It really isn't. Some of the stuff, like, I mean, for example, I have my topics that I'm really really fucking good at. Mothman is obviously my number one. I know a lot about it, but that's because I have researched it for 3 years now, and it's taken that long. And you can't get that kind of information in a week. So when you guys are patient with us, when we're like, I don't fucking know, Google that thing. I don't know what date that was. I don't remember that person's name. It's awesome that you understand that we're at least trying to to give you good, accurate information and whatnot. But I agree. Whatever your belief is, even if you believe in Portal Bigfoot or you don't, or you believe that Dogman's real or you don't, or whatever it is you believe in, the point is to get people to talk about it, because then it gets people to then go and research it, and then maybe it gets those people that go and research it really start researching it, and then maybe that person makes some discoveries. And we're all important. We all play a role here. You listening, you play a role, and us talking, we play a role, and all the other people that talk about these things. It's extremely, extremely important to the topic of fringe sciences and research and things like that. But I agree. Yeah, I mean, as a kid, there wasn't a lot of this stuff. Now it's kind of almost an overabundance of media that's out there. And so the fact that you guys actually stop and listen, you choose this one to listen to every week, that's amazing to me. I mean, it's crazy.
And one thing I want to say about the emails and the call-ins, because I know that's kind of the theme this week or whatever, is that is how these stories grow. You know what I mean? If we were the type of people to just kind of put on the news or open a school book, and that was where we got our interpretation of the past, the present, the future, was strictly through those means, then we wouldn't have anything to talk about right now.
Yeah.
All of these stories that we talk about on this show are stories that were originally handed down from experiencee to reporter, someone that was listening or someone that believed them, or a whole bunch of people that didn't believe them. You know what I mean? And that is part of what keeps this science alive, is an oral tradition of storytelling. And that is something that I don't think we can discount. And that's what this podcast legitimately tries to do week after week when we get on here and we fucking talk our asses off. But also when we do things like the telephone number and the email address and create channels for you to communicate back with us. Because every one of these stories that you're going to hear that we talk about are not covered probably in mainstream history books, but are handed down, kind of their oral traditions that get told from weirdo to weirdo over the years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and Pat said something to me, and it's not something that is an unusual line for people to mention when they share their stories. And what Pat said about his personal experience is that it's not a big deal. And Pat, we had that girl that came that I had walked away, but I'd come back and she was still standing there. You're like, hey, she's got a Mothman encounter. And she was just, it's not a big deal. It's not, people say that a lot about these things, but the fact of the matter is that you can't really decide if it's a big deal or not, because you might be giving a piece of information that is vital, that is missing out from other scenarios. I mean, maybe your personal experience was part of a larger collective, and we have a catalog of these experiences happening in that area. Maybe you mentioned a detail that just breaks the mold. And is it going to break the mold today? It might not. Is it going to break it 50 years from now? It could. And so I think that it is very vital for people to discuss their experiences, whatever they are, no matter how outlandish it might seem or, crazy. It's not too crazy for on Wednesdays We Talk Weird, I can tell you that.
Well, definitely with the second part of my story, I think that's where, which I will get to telling at some point, but I think that's the gold mine. That's where I think it becomes a big deal. And there's a little bit more info and there's a little bit more of a smoking gun about what was really happening. And especially kind of talking about a topic that we touched on earlier. I think that there's still traces that this type of stuff is still going on. And that, it's a more, paints a little bit clearer of a picture of what the reality of the situation might actually be. But once again, you only get there through talking.
Right.
You only get there through communication. People, I've been married fucking 5 years, which isn't a crazy amount of time, but people always ask me for relationship advice. I don't know why. And I always tell them the same thing: communication. Communication solves 99% of the problems in the world. Fucking talk. People aren't mind readers. You know what I mean? Like, you got to communicate with the people around you so everyone knows what the score is. And that goes for romance and that goes for cryptozoology. So if you see something, say something. If you have thoughts, if you have experiences, you got to share them. Don't keep them bottled up, because they're not going to do anybody any good.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And so and obviously I agree. You guys don't have to leave identifiers. I don't have to know who you are. We don't have to know who you are. The listeners don't have to know who you are. But you can share your story. I mean, this is a very safe space to share your stories. It's not.
Totally. Unless you're a fucking lunatic, and then we do reserve the right to make fun of you.
And
But honestly, that doesn't happen. That only happened once
once, right? One
with the
time.
giant dick guy, and that was it.
If you have a giant alien dick, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but maybe don't share that with people. I'm sure people already can see it, obviously, from space.
And refuse to send Pat a picture, no less. That's where you open yourself up for it to go.
Consent is right. You got to show Pat. You can show me all you want, but God, I can't say that because
I want to see a picture of Asher standing next to it holding a quarter for perspective.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
No, you will.
I'll hug it like a teddy bear.
Oh.
Anyway.
Jesus.
No fucking guy. But no, in all honesty, for real, no, it is a very safe space for you to share your stories and your stuff, again, without any identifying factors. I won't put your stuff up here, and I'm sure some of you know, because you know that you're listening to the show today and you called in and maybe you shared your phone number and thought that, hey, why didn't they share mine? Well, that's why. Or, whatever. Maybe it was something that was too close to home that, I just didn't want to edit out or whatever. I don't want people to give you guys ridicule. That's not what this is for. It's, again, to share and to get this stuff out there and get it noticed and get it listened to. But anyway, thank you, Tony, for sending that email. I'm glad we found you, and I'm sure we'll see you again at some other events. I mean, we got plenty coming up. So that'll be fun. Are we ready to move on to the next call?
Sure.
Okay. So I know what this one is already. So I don't.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, good. This one's a very easy one. So I'm going to take a pause for a second.
Ashers, I love this. This is Aaron. I don't have a story. I just love this. You guys are great. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, I love Aaron so much. Aaron's such a great dude. Aaron actually, he called the number. He was the first person to call them. Actually, Pat, you were the first person to call the number. And then Aaron called the number. So I just wanted to include it just because Aaron Dees from Hey Strangeness, everybody. We had Aaron on back a long time ago to talk about West Virginia cryptids. It's actually been one of the, it's probably in the top 5 of our episodes. It has done really, really, really well. And if you haven't listened to it, you definitely should. But I don't know, Pat, you haven't met Aaron yet, have you?
No, and he's never had me on his show either. So, fucking, what do you have to say about that?
What?
How many times aren't you going on there recently? He's having all of the girls of cryptozoology. I'll wear a wig and go on Instagram Live. Yeah, I think so.
I didn't know that because he hasn't invited me. So I don't.
No, but you were on there. You were on there 2 weeks ago.
I was on his Strange Conversations. Yeah, Aaron does a lot. He writes for Paranormality magazine. He's got his own podcast, Hey Strangeness. He's doing these Strange Conversations over on Instagram and YouTube. He does a lot of he does reviews for Small Town Monsters and things like that. He does a lot of stuff. Aaron, what's cool? I'll say this. Aaron's so sweet. We met Aaron. The whole group of all of us met Aaron because we were doing the Clubhouse thing, and Aaron pops up and he's like, hey guys, I follow all of you pretty much on social media. I'm just a big fan, and I just really wanted to talk to you guys. And he kind of joins this conversation, whatever it was we were talking. I don't even remember. And we all kind of took pause, and we were like, wow, who is this guy? He knows his stuff. And then he just kind of started visiting more and more. And he's so wholesome. He fangirls. It's adorable. He is a huge, huge cheerleader for everybody in the community. But he had said something during one of the clubhouses, and he was like, I'm not like you guys. I'm just a fan. I just, read books a lot and stuff like that. And I don't know. It just kind of hit me because it made me reflect on myself and how he was holding me in such high regard as a researcher and investigator. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, buddy, that pretty much 90% of my job is reading books. It's pretty much it's taking in other media with these topics. And that's how we all started, was because we read it or we watched the shows on TV. I was like, you're just like us. It's just the only difference is that you say that you're aspiring to be it. Instead of saying you're aspiring, just be it. Joe Bob Briggs gave a very similar speech one night on the last drive-in about filmmaking. He said, don't say that you're an aspiring filmmaker. You are a filmmaker. Are you making a movie? Then you're a filmmaker. Are you doing research? Then you're a researcher. Now, granted, I mean, there's a big difference. I do agree between people that go out into the field and actively investigate. But then again, there's a difference between an investigator and a researcher. Maybe you're not a Fortean investigator. Maybe you're a Fortean researcher, but that's still very important. You've got the knowledge. You know enough to be able to share ideas. And again, like we were just talking about, it is very important that you share in this community. And Aaron always talks about how much that really, picks him up because he was thinking about, just quitting and all that and whatever. And, I helped him out. It just is what it is. Aaron's good people. Go follow Hey Strangeness on Instagram. Go listen to their podcast. He definitely loves what he does. And he's an all around great dude. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this dude's teetering on the brink of obscurity. Like, he's published on a semi-regular basis. He's got a very good social media presence. He very good with the Instagram live stuff. Some of us, and like you said, like there's certain people that are good at this, to go out in the field, and there's certain people that are good at sitting around and reading books and connecting dots. And then I think there's some of us that are kind of good at talking to people. And he's definitely, I'm not saying it's his only skill, but he's definitely good in the talking to people crowd. There's a reason that he's got like 3 months worth of interviews booked. Now, there's no reason he's got 3 months worth of interviews booked, and I'm not one of them. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But
you're right. That's a good point.
But after you've been on my show, motherfucker. Chickens come home to roost. This is episode 100. Let me know when you little bitches get to episode 50. All right, and then we'll fucking talk. This is episode 100, motherfucker. I got my moment. But no, he's a cool dude, and I feel bad because the first thing I said to him was Aaron D's nuts. But like he's, you remember that? I don't think that was on the show. I think that was in the green room beforehand. But he was like, yeah, I get that a lot. He's a very cool guy. He's a very, very, very cool guy. Has very long, luxurious hair. I like him a lot. I actually enjoy his Instagram lives because he's got great charisma, which is the reason why I think, and not the only reason why, he's intelligent too, but it's the reason why he does well for himself, is because he's got charisma. He's got that aw shucks Texan kind of thing. And he's not an idiot. He's not a bimbo by any means. He's done his research. He's read a lot of shit. He obviously doesn't smoke as much pot as I do because he can remember shit off the top of his head. But he
smokes a lot of pot. That's why
you know what then?
See that? Those potheads.
That's what it's going to come down to. Next time we have a cryptic count, we all get together. Fucking me and that dude across the table from each other. We'll see. One shall stand, one shall fall. I know. I hereby challenge him to fucking smoke race. But no, but he's a real cool dude, and the fact that he called was very nice of him. So thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
He's always been a huge
much love for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's always been a huge supporter of the show. Definitely can't say enough good about that guy. Aaron, you're going to do great things. You've already done really amazing things, but you're going to continue to go on and do great things.
Keep the camera on you because you're good looking.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, that was from Aaron. Let's go on to the next one. This one's fun. I don't know what to think about it. So let's move it along here. All right, I'm going to mute and listen to this one.
Hey guys, listen, Pat. This is Professor Houlihan of the Dogman Syndicate. I'm calling to let you know. Congratulations for 100 episodes. But me and the other Dogmen are really ticked you've been talking about Wendigo so much. And guess what? Now you gotta pay. So I hope you're ready to pay the piper. Again, this is Professor Houlihan from the Dogman Syndicate. Have a super day. It's interesting.
Well, that was neat.
That's definitely from our YouTube listener base. They have a special stank to them. You can tell. That's a guy that listens to podcasts on YouTube. I'm telling you right now.
I'll be honest. Out of all of the people who called, thank you, Rufus, by the way, for the congratulations.
No, not just Rufus.
Not just Rufus.
Rufus O'Houlihan.
O'Houlihan. Yeah, that's right. Rufus O'Houlihan. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, anyway, thank you for calling me. Not thank you for threatening me. We're gonna have
Press
to do
assault charges, motherfucker. We're gonna find out where you live. We're gonna dox your ass.
it. You stop it. No, I have my own personal monster hunter, Pat O, and I'm going to send him after you since you're I guess you're a dog man. So
No, that was the second tip. We're like, it's like you just know who you're dealing with. You're like, okay.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. It was definitely a bright spot. I know all of these people that called except for that guy. I have no idea who you are. I don't know. Keep the mystery going. I don't know. Call back again sometime, I guess, and maybe give us clues if you want. That was really neat. I again appreciate the congratulations. I appreciate listening to the show. I'm not going to stop talking about Wendigo though. So do with that what you will, my guy.
Red flag number 3.
Come at me. What's red flag number 3? Stop.
I mean, if this was Carmen San Diego, you would know exactly what airport to fly to right now. Like, you have all 3 fucking clues. Just go to Peru and stop her at the airport. Like, what the fuck?
Well, that was interesting. Okay, well, with that one out of the way, do we want to chug it along to the next one?
Sure.
All right, let's go ahead and do that now.
Hey guys, Adam from the Pine Barrens Institute here. First and foremost, congrats on episode 100. That is an awesome achievement. But my main reason for this call is to ask if you two feel you are doing enough to educate the masses on the dangers of those mysterious alien creatures known as rods. I know people haven't been giving them much thought since the 90s, but I definitely feel we need to start taking a look at them again. They're definitely not bugs. Definitely something weird from another dimension or planet is the only logical answer for this. And I want to know what you guys think.
Well, Adam, we just had Adam on the show. I'm sure you guys have listened to that episode. Adam's also another great guy. Oh my gosh, rods. Pat, have you heard of rods?
I love this. Because, yeah, so this stems from something that happened on Twitter last week. And we're like, if you're listening to the show and you think the show is good, that's fine. But the second half of the show is you gotta go on Twitter too, because that's where the rest of this stuff happens.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit on Instagram, but mostly make sure you get your ass on Twitter. So Adam just randomly decided to do 24 hours of rods pictures, which, like, okay, so here's the thing. Like, rods were like a big deal in the 90s. He could not have hit the nail right on the head. I remember, like,
what are rods?
Inside Edition, I don't even know what they are now. I think they're bugs. I think they're like plant particles, but basically back in the 90s on like stuff like Inside Edition sightings, all of those news programs that would like run these kind of stories, they realized that they started getting all this like home video footage of these like little, they look like sea monkeys almost, floating around in footage that people were taking. And it would be like stuff in backyards, stuff in volcanoes, all of this stuff. And they thought they had all these kind of crazy explanations, like, because they weren't seen by the naked eye.
Right.
So were they fairies? Were they things that were winking in and out of dimensions? Why were they caught on camera and nowhere else? And I think like it had something to do with like manipulating the shutter speed. They eventually figured it out, and there's nothing to it. It's like, I don't know, they're dust particles or some shit.
Dust and bugs and
right. But people turned it into this thing for a hot minute, and it was so funny to listen to him pull it back. And then what was even funnier was that him and Tobias were doing it complete. I was explaining to my son.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Okay, all right, go on.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So Adam he just kind of mentioned rods nonchalant. Adam's got to. Let me tell you this right now. If you're not following Adam on Twitter in general, you need to. The guy's fucking hilarious.
He's at the very least as funny as I am. I will give him that. He is on par with me.
Yeah, I think you guys do have a very similar sense of humor. No, he's fucking hilarious. He posts up all the time. He posted this thing, and it was like, oh, does anybody remember rods? Because nobody talks about rods anymore. And then it turned into him doing 24 hours of rods on Twitter, and it's great. So now Adam is on this rods kick, and I love it. And
Right.
it's so getting that voicemail. Again, also thank you, Adam, for listening to the show. Thank you for the congrats there. It was super great to have you on. We'll definitely get you back on, and we'll deep dive into something in particular. But yeah, that was hilarious. I was like in tears beside myself.
It reminds me, last night I was watching the movie Twister with my kid, and I was explaining to him the brilliance of the movie Twister because, as ridiculous as the movie is, the premise and the execution and the different set pieces and all that stuff, the characters themselves never realize that they're in the movie Twister. The characters themselves think that like they're hiding, in a fucking like storage shed from a tornado by holding onto a water pipe. Like, the cow gets pushed past the car, and they're like, "Oh my god," It's like the comedy that comes from being straight faced. And that's what was so funny about the Rod stuff, was that as he was posting the most ridiculous Rod content, but doing it completely fucking straight faced, talking like a paranormal researcher from the 90s
Yeah.
that like was trying to make this into something, because that's what they were trying to do. And it was, I think, literally, we really should have looked it up. I really think it was just a matter of photographers learning how to manipulate shutter speed or something.
Yeah,
Like, that's all it
it
was.
is. Yeah, well, yeah, it was. Just that the whatever was moving in front of the camera was moving faster than the lens was closing to take the picture, creating that weird blur. But yeah, no, it was, the deadpan is great. He's 100% serious. You can tell how serious he is about this Rod's topic. But less than 24 hours after he left this voicemail, we received another one that came in. Should we go ahead and play that one now?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes, hello? This is Tobias Whalen from the Singular Fortean Society. I'd like to address the recent interest in unexplained cylindrical objects captured on film. Now, I've heard some people erroneously refer to these objects as rods when skyfish is clearly the correct nomenclature based on their clearly defined fins and habit of swimming through the air. Thank you for your time.
Now that, of course, is our buddy Tobias, who has also been on the show. We talked about him earlier in the episode. I'm going to assume that this was completely unplanned. I don't think that either one of them know that they called in about this. So when they listen to it, you guys will have to let me know your reaction. So, skyfish instead of rods.
See, this makes me want to do a Rods episode now. But it would be too late. It would be too late.
You're right. Now that we've
You know what I
explained
mean?
it. That's true.
Yeah, but it's something for the audience. Go out there. It's good toilet reading.
Yeah.
Check out Rods and Skyfish and
It's
Tobias Whalen.
Nomenclature, he said. I mean, he really was very serious.
He's written 2 books. He knows, he's a master of the English language.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't believe, and I was like, do I reach out to them, one of them, and be like, did you guys fucking plan this? Or do I just, because I honestly do not think that they did. I really don't think they did.
If they could have, it'd be even funnier. I mean, whatever.
So that's, wow. That was some really good stuff.
Right.
That was fucking funny. Wow. That was,
and it resulted in us turning around talking about both of them.
right, talking about both of them, talking about fucking rods. Yeah.
Check out their Twitters.
Check out both Tobias Whalen and Adam. I don't know if and that's right. Adam is just Adam, like Cher, from Pine Barrens Institute. Both great guys, both great researchers. You'll really like their stuff, and they're fucking funny. So I mean, there's that.
Right.
Well, okay, I'll go ahead and get into another email that we got. Let's see here. This one was cool. This came in from somebody going by Utah Monsters. I don't know if you guys are on social media somewhere. I know they had shared a video with me of an encounter that they had, but it wasn't. It was just them explaining the encounter. So I went ahead and typed it up. And I'm going to go ahead and share this story. This happened in southeast Utah in the middle of the day. They said, and that was really all the information that they gave. I'm going to go ahead and read it. While out for a drive on the desert with my wife and youngest son, I had decided to stop on the dirt road and take a bathroom break. I got out of the car and began to make my way to the back of the car so that I could have a little privacy. As I walked back, I happened to glance up at the horizon, and that's when I saw something unbelievable. Just above the plateau on the horizon were 5 silver cigar-shaped craft. All 5 were following single file and very close to each other. Close enough that the wake from the craft in the front of them should have stalled out the others. As I watched them slowly moving along the horizon, I told my wife she better get out of the car because she needed to see this. She got out and made her way back to the end of the car. I pointed them out to her and mentioned she had a video camera because we were out that day and she was taking film of wildlife. I told her to hurry up and get some film and, take some film of the craft because nobody would believe us. She pointed her camera to the sky and began to try and film it. As she panned and tried to film and zoom in on it, the camera would not focus on the craft at all and was just blurry. She tried several times to capture video, but to no avail. We continued to watch as the craft made their way across the sky onto the next plateau horizon, when suddenly we lost all sight of the craft. As quick as we had lost sight of the craft, 2 Black Hawk helicopters were suddenly buzzing across the horizon in what seemed to be pursuit of the crafts. As soon as the Black Hawks hit the second horizon, where we had last seen the craft, they made an abrupt turn and began to circle the area. They made about 5 passes, and then as quickly as they had come, they disappeared. Still to this day, my wife and I have no other plausible explanation for what we witnessed. The only explanation we have to this day is a UFO encounter. So that's cool. What do you think about that, Pat?
I don't think they were aliens.
You think that it was a UFO thing? Or, a military thing?
Yeah, because, think about it. You have 5 Tic Tacs invading your airspace. You're going to send 2 Black Hawk helicopters after them. That is your response.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
What the fuck do the Black Hawk helicopters have on them that we don't know about? Where we think that they're going to shoot down fucking 2.5 spaceships each. They were an escort. That's not a military response. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm no master tactician here. I've only been playing D&D for most of my fucking life. But like I would think that, like, Jesus Christ, you have 5 extraterrestrial vehicles invading your fucking airspace, and you're going to send two helicopters, which are basically used for what? Troop deployment, for getting people on the ground or for picking up shit that gets dropped. Like,
that's true.
I have long said that I think that there's a good component of this stuff that is just military exercises with craft that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
That's what I would chalk this one up to. If you don't see the aliens, then they're not. Don't assume they're there. That's why, like, when you go back to the orb ones were always kind of head scratchers to me because they don't seem big enough to be piloted. Right. So it's like, what are they?
More like drones, like people kind of describe nowadays.
Well, now we have a concept of drones, but when orbs have been reported back since like the Bud Hopkins, like Whitley Strieber shit, where we didn't have that concept of, we knew not that the military would ever use remote control like helicopters or remote control like toys for stuff. Like, we had remote control stuff, but it just wasn't. And I think that's an important thing to recognize too, is that there's so many seemingly blatantly easy concepts for us to wrap our heads around that we just can't until we're led there. Right? Yeah. Like, think about how long the concept of drones took to click with most people, even though we've had remote controlled recreational vehicles for how long? How long have been those weirdos been like the Piper Club that fly like those like remote control airplanes,
That's true. That's
which are
true.
drones. But we would have never thought that. When did we start using drones in a military capacity? Not for like decades later. So yeah, it's like, the orbs things are starting to kind of interest me more because I see more potential for what they could be. But that email I think just describes a military encounter.
I mean, but could it have been that the helicopters have like superior tracking on it, and maybe they weren't necessarily trying to attack or threaten whatever it was in the airspace, but track it? I don't know enough about aircraft, to be perfectly honest with you. I probably should know more considering what I do. But I've never even flown before, so there's that. But I mean, could that potentially be what it was? They just also saw something weird in the sky, and they thought maybe. I think it definitely could have been a military exercise for sure. I think that makes a lot more sense. With something else that, maybe they were doing some type of exercise with technology. But
yeah, if with all of these UFO sightings, how many times do we have engagement? And that's not a rhetorical question. I don't know, but I feel like most of the evidence that we have, or the encounters that are reported back, are we were flying and we saw something and we tried to pursue it and it got away. But there's never like weapons hot, like we fired at it. There's no reports of these things ever getting shut down.
Right.
As far as I know, and maybe they keep those extras top secret, but even shit that they don't want us to find out, we have a tendency to find out about. So I would think that if over the years, if we had managed to shoot some of these things down, then we could. And if these things are to believe to be foreign invaders of American airspace, and you have a football field sized black helicopter or black triangle just kind of cruising through Tinley Park, just kind of making its way downtown, like, you're telling me that no one could fire a fucking Tomahawk off at that thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, these things do have a tendency to zip around and shit, but a lot of times they're just hovering, and a lot of times they're just creeping around silently. So why haven't we shot more down? Because they don't seem to be that hard of targets. And some of the times they're, they're doing stuff that defies scientific explanation as of right now.
I think that one topic that we need to cover is the Battle of Los Angeles.
I remember that. I mean, but you're talking about the World War II where we were firing off coasted stuff, and
yeah,
it was like early 1940s.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I don't know exactly when it was, but I think it was around then. Yeah, that would be I think a good one to cover. I know that one of the reports that came out within the recent UAP disclosure is a very similar situation where they were being tracked off the coast of California, I believe the Navy was, by these craft, and I think that they did attempt to shoot something at it, and it didn't work, or didn't hit, or didn't land, or whatever. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Not really. It wasn't really something I was prepared to talk about today, but I've heard reports of allegedly us trying to shoot at these things and it doesn't happen. So I mean, maybe we don't now really do it because we've kind of learned that it doesn't do anything.
Maybe, yeah.
Seeing the 5 cigar-shaped things, very interesting. I think that's. I've never heard of that before. I've seen one of those before, but I only saw one. And but seeing 5 of them together, that's like a convoy of these things, I guess.
Transporting something, maybe.
Could be. Very much could be. Either way, Utah Monsters, I believe that you did see something. I believe you. And Pat,
definitely, yeah.
I think Pat believes you too. Yeah, Pat believes you too. But we just don't know exactly what it is that you saw. You're right. The best way to describe it is a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object. That's what you saw. So take that with what you will. Very interesting story. Okay, all right. Well, let's carry on with the calls. It looks like we got 3 more left, and then I have one more email. So,
all right.
Let's keep moving along here. Ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
Hello, this is Greg Morrill of All the Weird, host of Cryptocasters, Ashers, and Dr. X, aka Pat O. I love having both of you on Cryptocasters. You always have so much to add. Just wanted to thank you so much for bringing us such amazing content. I learned something from every one of your shows. So here's to another 100 wonderful episodes. Be well.
I can't say this enough either, but I fucking love Greg so much.
The man is a prince, and you know why I say that? It's because he has me on his show all the time. Cannot say enough good things about him. I love him. He's a great judge of character, and he's knows what side his bread's buttered on. So running a great operation over there.
No, he is. We are actually getting ready to be on another CryptoCasters coming up here.
Look at that. And he's bringing us back again. Oh, Greg.
He loves having us. That's what he
anytime you ask, buddy, we'll be there.
Always, every time.
Definitely,
right.
yes.
We will never say no. No, we do love it. And yeah, he's doing a March Madness thing, and we're all kind of representing our areas. And Pat and I are part of the Midwest portion. So that'll be.
Now, you know that's a sports reference, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm aware of what. Yeah, I know March Madness. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, but it's kind of become its own. A lot of people have March Madness for different things now. Anyway,
Sure.
but yeah, no, Greg is a great person, a great human. Even if he did curse Pat and made his heart swell, that's fine. He did it out of love, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'll let it go. He works powerful magics over there.
He
No,
does.
he's a very cool dude.
He's our token Canadian, I think. I don't know. I can't wait to meet Greg. We haven't gotten the chance to do that yet because of the pandemic and things like that. But it'll happen. It'll happen sooner, hopefully, rather than later. But no, definitely appreciate all you do, all your support. Greg is always on top of it. He's always supported the show as long as he's known about it. And I think
I want to take a nap with Greg. I want Greg to like sit on a
Right.
couch, and then like I just like kind of put my head next to him and just like fall asleep for a little bit.
And he just he has such a
Makes
soothing voice. He just kind of talks
Right.
to me every little bit and says what he's going to say about.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he talks about. He talk about his bagged milk.
He could be explaining RoboCop to me. He's like watching RoboCop on the couch. He's like, so in this part, they feed him baby food because his stomach doesn't. And I'm like, okay. Just drift off.
That is, I think, the best way to describe Greg. Yeah, he has a great napping butt. I think he's probably a great cuddler. That he strikes me as a really good cuddler. I don't know. Well, we'll just all have to get together one time and just
We'll
cuddle.
figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a cuddle. You're gonna have a smoke off with Aaron, and then you're gonna have a cuddle off with Greg. And
Yeah. If I get too high, Greg can hold me until I fucking balance out.
yeah,
Like, come here, little buddy.
I love it. Again, thanks, Greg. Thanks for calling. Thanks for all of your support. Let's go ahead and get into the next one. Truck along here.
Hey guys, this is Adam from Creature Kids Books. Just wanted to call and say how much I love the show. I look forward to it every single Wednesday on my drive to work. So keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll be sharing a ghost experience pretty soon. I had my first one in Tucson, Arizona a couple of weeks ago, and have been trying to piece it together in my noggin. So I'll be calling back at some point with that. Thanks, guys.
Good old Donkey Dick Adam.
Why are you calling him Donkey? How do you know? I'm just. Yeah, Adam does the Creature Kids books. Actually, he sent me a copy. Did he? I don't know if he sent you one or not.
I ain't give that dude my fucking mailing address. Are you kidding me? No, he has not sent me literature yet. If he wants it, I'll give it to him definitely.
No, he sent a copy of the book. And I've been kind of watching this book for a while. And he finally came out with it. And it's great. I mean, he uses cryptids as a way for kids to kind of express. It's like comparable to like coming of age, I suppose, but not quite that age yet. Just not feeling badly about being different, and I think that's a really important message. I'm all for getting kids more involved in cryptozoology. So definitely keep up the good work, Adam, and hopefully you keep listening to the show. We like having you here, so that's important.
He's one of the few fans that writes me on a semi-regular basis, and it means the world to me. And he's a interesting conversationalist, and I have not checked out his book, but I would recommend anyone out there with the ability to do so, because I'm sure if it comes from that man, if it comes out of that man's body, then it's got to be pretty fucking sweet.
It comes out of his body. He produces it. He just shits it out. This is
If
really
he produces,
well. Anyway, thank you, Adam. Again,
thank you, buddy.
for the call back. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it, and share that story with us. Call back and once you get through, I've had some really interesting conversations with Adam, just different theories and ideas and stuff like that. We've talked about a lot of things. He's also come up on he's come on to the Clubhouse scene sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. He was. I think that's how we ended up running into each other, was from Clubhouse. Maybe
I
not.
did. Adam, add me on Clubhouse because I did not know that.
He hasn't been on lately, but maybe he needs to get back on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been on it, and so yeah, I think that like I said, we've got some really interesting theories. Definitely let us know about your ghost encounter. Call back, write it in, whatever.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And we'll talk about it on the show. So that's cool. Not a lot of stories out of Arizona in general. So that's a place that I would like to see have more representation. Because
I'm sure it's a
they're just-
haunted Kleenex or something.
It could be. It could be. Anyway.
Ooh.
So there's. Oh no! I gave it life. Anyway, God damn you, Pat. Let's go ahead and go on to this is our last call for this episode.
But not least by any means.
Not by any means. No, best for last, as they say.
Right.
We'll go ahead and
We would have started this one. We would have started the show off with this one, but we didn't want your heads to explode.
Exactly.
We wanted to get the play count up. So.
Well, let's play it.
Hello, Ashes. This is Reverend Crimsoniculus with a strange question for you. With all the cryptocurrency available, why isn't there a cryptid currency yet? Goodbye from the future.
Because all money's fake. That's why.
I love that. Well, you're right. That is why. It's because, but so aren't cryptids according to you. So wouldn't fake money just?
That's not true.
I know.
I don't think all cryptids are. I just like to bust people's balls when they argue about what color pubes Bigfoot has, and it's like, motherfucker, what?
What color pubes do you think Bigfoot has?
I don't think that I'm qualified to even hazard a guess, and
Okay.
most people that argue about shit.
Well,
like
when
that.
you hunt and kill one, will you tell me?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, I appreciate it. No, of course, that's our buddy. That's our Reverend. The
right.
Reverend.
Our spiritual advisor of the show.
Yeah. No, he's actually been requested from a couple of people to come back on the show.
Anytime.
And I definitely want to get him back on. That's for sure. We'll have you back on. Our very good buddy. He's actually been upgraded recently to Lord. I think he's now Lord Reverend Dr. Crimsoniculus. I think those are all of his monikers so far. Those are all of his accolades. But you can collect these things when you have the capability of time travel, and you have that capability when you pledge your $35 for your eternal salvation. So make sure that you do that. Get spend your 30. I did. I never made a video or anything talking about what happened when I joined the cult, the Church of the Subgenius. But
You never came to Chicago and picked me up in your pleasure craft either.
well, the world hasn't ended yet. It's not X Day.
Oh, okay.
Right. I get my pleasure craft when it's X Day, and it's not. And X Day was it's like July 5th, 1990 something or whatever.
Well, if there was ever a reason to release a swarm of rogue nanobots, this would be it.
Of course, our buddy there, the Reverend, he was featured on the Church of the Subgenius episode, and also on Time Travel and Paradoxes, which the audio quality is shit on, but the content quality is, it's good. So check it out. Yeah, we could definitely have you back on for some more theories. He's actually posed some ideas to me. We can't wait to hear from you more in the future about other various topics.
Have him back on for my birthday episode.
Okay.
At the end of March. I love that dude.
Okay.
He's very funny and very intelligent. And it's a deadly combination.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I don't know if I should give away exactly who he is, but I'll
What is he, like a fucking state senator? I don't think anyone's gonna buy that. Like, no, don't tell us which Denny's he manages. All right, we'll just keep that under wraps.
We're going to be going. He'll be
No,
actually, if you're going to be at the Mothman Festival this year, he's going to be there. So he'll be there. So that'll be cool. So you can actually meet Reverend Crimson Nicholas. Well, I'm sorry, Lord Professor Reverend Crimson Nicholas for yourself.
there you go.
So that'll be great. But another big supporter of the show. Really, really good friend of mine. Love him to death. He's weird, but that's what I like. So that's my type. Is weird. And then our last contact, another email it's actually a message that I had received from a new listener of the show. So this guy, he's been listening to the show for probably the last 2 months or so. And he sent me this email, just kind of wanted to share his story. I do have follow up that I'll be doing with this because I am really interested in some of the things he was mentioning. But I thought I would share it here just to kind of show you guys the stuff that I got to deal with on a regular basis. Anyway, this is from our buddy D.A. Merrick. He writes, one time I was working at a river marina doing night security in 2015. And as my friend and I were talking and doing our rounds at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday, we spotted a light. As we grew close to the edge of the marina, we realized it was actually heading at us. Said it moved about 300 feet above the river. It looked like a small fighter jet. It was completely silent with one front light, no wind, and undisturbed water on the river. It was very unusual. Within the hour, this is where shit gets cool. Within the hour, we were greeted by an unmarked van with 2 young men with crew cuts wearing similar clothes asking us which way to the 7-Eleven. And then they asked, "Have you seen anything weird?" We both answered no, and they drove off. The next day, I found out the beach down the road was closed off, and people were being freaked out by black helicopters. Sounds freaky. However, down the road is the Brookhaven National Laboratory. So my assumption is that we witnessed an experimental craft. And that's it. That's the story. That's more along the lines of what you were saying with the last email.
Yeah, I'm looking this dude up because me and him talk on Twitter a lot. He's a filmmaker.
Yeah, yep.
We talk about movie shit. I had no idea that he found me through the show.
Yeah, he loves
I
the
thought
show.
I thought it was through my prolific screenwriting career.
Of course.
And yeah,
That's probably how he found the show, was from your it was from Space Werewolf.
yeah, fuck you. But he's also followed by Steven Scarlatta, who does my favorite one of my other favorite podcasts. Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
And I know he's got a lot of other things he wants to share with me. I really haven't had the chance yet to like sit down and really talk to the guy. But this was one of the first things he shared, and I thought that it would be cool to share on the show.
I think it'd be a good guess because I bet you, number one, I bet he's a good storyteller, and number two, he's coming from a different part of the country, so he's gonna have more like, oh, it was the wintertime, eh? And we were outside ice fishing, and this big light come over the tree line. It's like we've had all these Midwestern people on and shit. It's like, no, let's get a dude from California that has some has some stuff. I was just reading something the other day about there's submarine bases off the coast of California that go all the way into Nevada, and there's submarine bases in Nevada, and which sounds ridiculous because there's no bodies of water around there, but that's how deep the tunnels go. That's cool. Yeah, and then a lot of times, there's when they see like the UFOs coming out of the water off the coast of California, they think that it's craft that are coming from these submarine bases. It's not necessarily UFO bases off the coast, because that's a whole nother topic too that we could get into. I don't know how much time we've really spent on that. Is the USOs, and the correlation between a lot of these sightings and water. A lot of all the Navy footage that was released like 2 years ago, all those things were coming out of the fucking ocean. Yeah. Right? I mean, they were flying around, they were doing UFO shit, but point of origin was underwater, which leads a lot of people to ask what the fuck is underwater. And because of the mapping technology and the camera technology we have, we can see off the coast of the United States, there's a lot of really bizarre structures that look almost too well defined to just be like random rock formations. And there's a lot of speculation that some of these are underground, either military bases or alien bases. And yeah, so it's interesting. His story is, it's an interesting synchronicity that he would come out this week with that story when I spent quite a bit of time this week reading about that phenomenon. So
Yeah, we've had a lot of reports here around the base with the bodies of water around there of weird things happening in the water. Also, Groom Lake, where Area 51 is, I mean, also has stories of the water. I think that would be something cool for us to really, get into and indulge in. As far as having the guy on as a guest, I mean, would you want to come on as a guest? Do you want to come on the show? Maybe we should talk about that more. I'm surprised you didn't realize. I don't know what you guys talk about, but I didn't know you didn't realize that he listened to the show. That's funny.
I think he's sober, so we talk about that. And we talk about movies.
Well, good for him.
And that's it. Well, I'm not outing him. I mean, he fucking said, but it's like, yeah, like we just talk about other stuff, I don't think we ever got into UFO shit, but that's awesome. So thanks, dude, so much for reaching out. And now that I know who you are, I'll bug you more on Twitter, which Adam can tell you is both a blessing and a curse, Because the day after he did that episode, I was sending him Muppet videos of like, this is me and you singing together and like goofy shit like that. So,
wait, were you really?
Yeah, moving right along.
That's a true story.
Did you ever see, okay, it's from the Muppet movie, Moving Right Along. Yeah. It's when the Muppet movie, for those of you that don't know, is all about how the Muppets all got together and started their like variety show, right? And it starts off in New York where Fonzie meets Kermit. And the two of them decide to go to LA together. And they have this song called Moving Right Along where they're like driving from New York to LA, but they keep getting lost and they keep having issues, but they keep moving right along and they're building their friendship. And Alkaline Trio did a cover of it. And then someone cut the footage from the Muppet movie to the Alkaline Trio song. So I posted the picture, I sent him the video of it on YouTube, and I said, this is me and you looking for the Beast of Bray Road in Wisconsin. And you drive it up and down. And I think he was like, okay. Like it got like the heart, and then that was it. So sorry.
You're too weird for Adam.
I get clingy. Like when I think people are cool, like I have boundary issues, definitely. I mean, you fucking know that.
I'm like, you're my best friend. Oh my gosh, we're in love, or it's weird. I don't know.
Right.
But no, I think he probably. I mean, he still came on the show after that. So.
No, that was after he was on the show. Right. But he left me a voicemail, which made me feel like things had calmed down enough. So
that's true. So you got to.
Okay. Yeah.
As long as you can deal with his rod, he can deal with your Muppets.
As long as his rod is imaginary, we should be fine.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Well, anyway, that is what we have as far as your guys' feedback and your good graces and your whatever it is you wanted to share with us. I mean, again, if you guys want to do more of that, I got no problem sharing it here. I mean, it's our show. We do anything we want to on our show. Maybe this was a little atypical, especially after such an atypical past couple of months with all the guests and things like that. Maybe you guys are ready for us to get right back into, normal Weird Wednesday episodes. I don't know. Maybe you really enjoyed this. Who knows? It doesn't matter. This was a kind of a different time. We deserve to know, that's one thing. I mean, yeah, okay. If you like the show and you like what we do, you should go buy merch and send me your money. But really, if you like the show and you like what we do, nothing says it better than you actually saying it. I mean, really, that's so appreciated. Because it's different. Having a podcast is not the same as like having a YouTube channel. Because in YouTube, at least, like there's comments and things like that. It's really hard to be able to interact with you guys. And have it all kind of consolidated in one spot. So when you go out of your way to reach out and say how much you enjoy listening to me talk every week, which to me is just mind blowing that people come here to listen to us talk every week. But you do, and you keep doing it and you keep showing up. So thank you for that. And as long as you keep showing up, we will keep putting out many more Weird Wednesdays. I mean, that's for sure. It's not going anywhere or anything like that. I did not cry. I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna cry.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was on the table. I would have totally aimed for that.
Oh, I had to cry. We could have gotten our emotional support Greg and hugged it out, cried, and that's I mean, no, it's I love doing this. I mean, this is the best part of my job, is interacting with all of you. I mean, it really is. It's one of my biggest reasons why I do it, is just to talk to like-minded people, because again, I was a weird kid, and believe it or not, I mean, people look at me now. I know, like, and this is gonna sound fucking cocky. Like, I get it. Okay, I'm an attractive woman. That's not what I mean by it. I'm
You're
not trying to say it to be
you're like an
cocky.
8.5. I mean, like, you're all right.
Wow, 8.5. No, I'm an 11. Thank you very much. So, and so for me to be in this field, I'm still intimidating to people, and I don't like that. I don't want to be known as that. And even then, like, I look a certain way, so therefore I must be into certain things, and I mean, that's been like a theme my whole life. And so for me to be able to have this space and just be my fucking weird little self, that's really important to me. I like that, and I'm somebody that's not very serious. I like to laugh, and I like to enjoy my time, and I like to have fun. And even when I'm talking about very serious things and I shouldn't laugh about human experimentation or whatever, I'm still going to, because that's what I do. But anyway, so this has been very fun, a very fun journey. So Pat, do you have anything you want to add to?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you've not to sit here and psychoanalyze you. This is all I'm gonna say, but I definitely feel like you've desexualized yourself from when we started doing this, and I don't think that there's anything disingenuous one way or the other. I think you just maybe you realize, like, at first it was part of your persona, and it was the way people saw you, and then you probably realized it was more of a detriment to your character than a way to pick up fans. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you just have people tuning in or like following you on social media because they think that you're going to post a nipple slip October 2019, um, what are you doing? It's like people are just going to want that content. When they don't get that content, they're going to get frustrated leaving. So, I think that as attractive as you are, that, like, that has definitely, as far as I just see, like, become very backseat to everything else that you've accomplished, as it should be. I mean, I don't know. You run your shit to whatever you want it. You know what I mean?
Well,
But,
no, I was
like,
thinking about that recently. I was like, man, I'm not very sexual anymore, and honestly, I'm kind of sad about that, because I am a very, very sexual person in real life.
oh, you're nasty as fuck. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
I'm like,
But, like, but so what? I mean, well, first of all, our parents would tell us that that's a part of ourselves that we should keep hidden for our special somebody anyway, and that we shouldn't put that on display for the rest of the world. But I feel like it's such a tightrope for you to walk as a female, because um, you can't, you don't want to get mislabeled. Like, you're not to talk any shit about Marcy the Mail Girl, but, like, you want to be seen as more of an intellectual than that. You know what I mean? Like, you want to
sure.
do, yeah. And it's like, and kind of, it's like the same thing with me, where, like, I'm a dirty motherfucker too, and, like, me and you get along great, and conversations we have off air don't hold a candle to the shit that gets
Yeah,
recorded and
you guys
fucking
have
put
no
out.
idea.
Yeah, but it's like, but that's, once again, it's like, if I talked like that, and no one would want to listen to that on a weekly basis, because they'd be like, this guy's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that balancing act between being true to who you are, letting your personality be out there because you want to do that. You want to interject your own personality, but at the same time, like, reeling it in so that you're not scaring away the straights. And I think that you found the perfect balance for that, and that's why the show has lasted as long as it is. And I mean, not to throw shade on other podcasts, but, like, look, we all fucking look at each other's numbers that we can see. Like, we all pay attention to what everyone else is doing, and we're doing well. And I think the reason that we are doing well is potentially it's the longevity, potentially it's the release schedule, but more likely than not, it's also you. you know so obviously you're doing something right and you're on the right path, and I'm going to congratulate you on hitting 100 episodes, because this is your 100th episode, it's not mine. But keep it going. you know, with or without me. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow or my fucking heart blows up, you know, get a replacement in here and keep going and don't stop, because all of this has shown you that this is exactly where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that you're on the right path. And congratulations on finding that path, because a lot of people don't, you know.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you're right. This isn't your 100th episode. Maybe we should do a Pat O.
No, fuck it. Jeez.
No, you don't think so? Yeah, anyway, do a Pat exclusive.
We could
episode.
we could celebrate privately.
Sounds good to me. No, I absolutely appreciate you. I mean, Pat, you've pretty much been with me watching me do all this stuff almost since the beginning. So that's been very fun to have you
Leering in the corner.
Yeah.
Quietly.
Masturbating in the corner, you mean? But it's fine. No, I know what you're saying. Like I said, I definitely had considered the fact that I'm not very sexual anymore, and I want to be more sexual. I want to be more true to who I am. I don't want to be afraid to be me. I don't really care if people like me or they don't. Obviously they do, because you guys are still here. But and I should be more myself. And sometimes I want to have all the sex in the world and share it with everybody and be that big sex ball energy. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just don't want to do that. And that's kind of the point, kind of why I started being so public anyway, was because I had a message to share, and that message was and still is that you can be sexy and intelligent and funny and entertaining. You can be all of those things, and none of that takes away from any of the other stuff that you're doing. And I'm still very much going to follow that path, and I don't think that anybody's going to be sad about it. And if you are, well, you can go fuck yourself. You won't see my nip slips then on social media. That's your fault.
October 2019. Yeah, I had a live journal back in the day that was I had several live journals, but one of them was a sex journal, and it didn't have my name on it, but it was just all about, it was just me writing about the sex that I was having. And it was something that I really wanted to do. And it was something that meant a lot to me. And I don't know if it was therapeutic. It's not like I was having bad or weird sex, but it was like part of myself that I needed to express. And, I had let my follower, it was friends only. I had let my followers on my main page know that it existed, and that if you wanted to read it, everybody was welcome to, but it was friends only. So you had to send a request. And, some people came over and read both, and some people didn't. And then just by doing kind of like the sex and kink user groups, I kind of picked up a few more people that way. And it was a great outlet. It never got as big as my other one. But a lot cooler people followed me.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, it's weird, but I think that there's something, it's almost like that, like Saturday night sleepover vibe, where you're sitting there with your friends or your girlfriends or whatever, and you're talking about, how Cindy Lou gave you a blowjob last weekend and what it felt like, and you're talking about this, and what do you think her boobs look like? It's something, it's kind of juvenile maybe,
right?
And it's kind of, I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure it's not the most mature thing, but I don't think it's unhealthy. And I think that for some people that are maybe a little hypersexual, or that need that kind of stimulation in their life, I think that communicating about it and getting it out there in a respectful and somewhat adult manner, it can do a lot of good. And that is why we're going to announce our spin-off podcast episodes about fucking, which we'll get together and we'll talk about sex once a month.
This was new to me, but okay. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. One of the first ideas that I had, aside from the podcast, was to start an OnlyFans, where what I did was I read a chapter from one of the Fortean books, topless. Completely naked. And that idea is still on the table.
No one needs to see your choach. I don't know. We should put that up for vote. Because, I mean, I guess it comes down to personal preference. I never need to see a woman's vagina. I don't. I have zero desire to see what your labia looks like, or what the state or whatever of your pubic hair is at the time. Like, I never found that. But that's just me. I think topless is perfect. Topless is like awesome. You know what I mean? You leave your butt.
If people are going to pay for it, then Yeah, and I get my reading in. Sure, why not?
It-
I might do
you,
it.
you could sell extra shots with the little string hanging out when you got when it's
That's
that time of the
gross.
No, that I would pay to see because that I find hysterical.
That's
Fucking-
gross.
You know how many of those I pulled out with my teeth before? Just fucking flung across the room like it was the trout.
And these are the kinds of conversations we have after the show, for real. I think I'm joking. We're gonna stop recording, and Pat's gonna be like, "So it was 55 is the number, by the way," or whatever. Anyway, I'm not gonna be one of those people. I'm not gonna say that when I started this, I never thought I'd make it to 100 episodes or blah blah blah. I knew I would. I mean, that's why I started it, was because I knew I
Right.
was doing good things, and I knew that I knew that I was going to do this. I didn't. I've hit a lot of milestones in my career in general. That if you would have told 15-year-old me I was doing, I wouldn't believe, of course. But I'm still very thankful. But there's still a lot more that I need and want to do and will do eventually. So I don't know. Ask me when I get there, and I'll go back and see. But if you yourself are thinking about indulging in any type of creative project or dreams or anything like that, well, nobody's going to make any of this happen except for you. And I know that this is the fucking kind of preachy shit that you hear all the time, and you're like, okay, whatever, but like that's not realistic. No, it really is. It really is. I'm telling you, 100% realistic. You absolutely can do anything that you are setting your mind out to do. And if you really
That's how
want it
magic
bad
works.
enough, it is how magic works. I mean, if you really want it bad enough, you're going to do it. And that's kind of what I did. Now I had to go through hell to get there. I had to go through a complete horrible transformative like I said, hellscape to get to that point, but it's worth it. And so I recommend it. I recommend it. It was terrible at the time, but it's good now, better than it was. So I mean, it's only going up, so there's that. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox again. But again, it's my show. I can soapbox it if I want. I promised you guys we are doing a giveaway. If you've made it to this point of the show, congratulations, you qualify for the giveaway. Let us know, Pat. What should the passcode be this week? Do you have any ideas?
Black Pope.
Black Pope. Why? Just because?
Because I was just reading something on my phone while you were giving your soapbox speech, and it talked about it was this one of these Twitter feeds I follow, and it's like the conspiracy bot, and it'll just talk about random shit, and sometimes it'll say stuff like Google Denver International Airport or Google Bohemian Grove, and this one said Google the Black Pope, so I googled the Black Pope, and it's basically this Jesuit, like this splinter Jesuit order, and that's their leader is kind of like the anti-pope.
Oh,
So,
anti-pope.
yeah.
Well, I'm down with that. Okay. Well, there you go. That's the the password this week for the giveaway. It's Black Pope. Send it to me. Send it to Pat O. It doesn't matter. Pat, if they send it to you, let me know. And then during next week's episode, we will announce. Now we do record on. I guess we record Monday nights, don't we? Usually.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all the way until Monday afternoon Eastern Standard Time to get it in. But anyway, that is the 100th episode, guys. We'll see you back here next week for episode 101.